It is 6 a.m. in the Mile High City. Good morning, Denver, Colorado. You've tuned into the Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710 KNUS. A very happy Thanksgiving week to you on this Monday, November 25th, kicking off all the travel, all the excitement, all the time with family. We're so glad you're joining us. We got an entire show planned for you of engaging content, critical analysis, but most importantly, your phone calls and texts, because this is where Denver's voice is heard loud and clear. So grab a cup of coffee, Denver. Let's dive into the issues that matter most to you right here, right now. Coming up after news and comment with Blake Olson. Holy cow, we got a show planned for you today. Rand Paul talking about Mike Johnston on Face the Nation. We're going to play that clip. You're not going to want to miss it. Eric Manning texted me this morning. Jeff, did you see the Rand Paul clip? We're going to cover that. We're going to talk to Peter Boyles. We're going to talk to Barb Kirkmeyer. Barb's going to give us insight into a late Friday afternoon special session grilling Jenna Griswold. What did they learn about her and her incompetence in the Secretary of State's office? Amy Stevens, former state representative, is going to join us to talk about this Colorado Springs mayor. This was crazy. So basically, three folks in his orbit. It's very important for me to say this because I believe in it, not just to protect any legal side of things, but I believe it. He's never been brought up on charges, never been brought before court, but three people in the Colorado Springs mayor's orbit basically faked a hate crime. Now, those three have been brought up on charges, but there's text messages between these three and the mayor basically saying, you're never going to believe what's going to happen next. This is going to be crazy. We got you covered. Don't worry. All that stuff. So what did the mayor know?
And also, what did the mayor say? Because we're not getting a lot.
We don't have his side.
Yeah, we only have the one side of the conversation. So we don't know. That's the question. Why there's still some, some clouds over whether or not he knew, how much he knew, or did he know anything? Were these three people that were just like, hey, we got you, we're going to take care of this, and he is interpreting it somewhere a different way rather than a hate crime? Or is it something where he is involved in the conversation directly about it? And the problem is we only have the one side of the conversation. And if you think that he is directly involved in helping plan it, then those conversations can lead you to believe that. And if you think that he's not directly involved in something else, those text messages can lead you to believe that too. There's nothing solid saying, wait until we light this on fire, or you won't see until we write this on this sign. There's nothing as direct as that. But there are some implications that something big is going to happen. And it even centers around the day in which this instance happened. So there are some big questions about this.
Lots. We're going to talk with Amy Stevens about that. And then, of course, we're going to dive into Pete Hegseth. I went through the 22-page Monterey, California Police Department report on it. And I sent it to other people and asked them. And others said, oh, yeah, no, he totally took advantage of her. Yeah. My read, she took advantage of him. So we're going to talk about that as well. Phone lines are open.
And my question on that one is, if he is in charge of leading thousands and thousands of ladies, these are ladies that within the confines of the military have had many of these experiences. There is a saying inside the military that if you're a woman, it is not when you're going to be it's not if you're going to be sexually assaulted, but when. It is just a matter of time. Jeez. And so that's the idea, is if this is his behavior, how then does command and control work coming down? Is this the kind of person that if you are serving in the military and you're a female right now, is this the kind of person that you respect? Is this the kind of person that you can be put in charge? Is this the kind of person, or is this something that is a guy that has treated you or talked to you or done things that is like those other guys in the barracks that have said things and done things and treated you that way? Is this just that? And so is that someone that is going to be at the top? I think they've got some questions there.
Yeah, lots of questions on that one. So as I said, we got a jam-packed show for you today. Lots to cover. You're going to want to stick with us through its entirety. But first, news and comment with Blake Olson. Good morning, Blake.
Hey, happy Monday. Hope you guys had a great weekend. Good to hear your voices. I just came from DIA in a beautiful morning. Dropped off my family to go to New York. So the holiday travel is underway.
Was it busy out there? I imagine
it started picking up.
Yeah.
But this was at 3 o'clock. So
no way.
that was the right time, because I saw a line of traffic coming right after I dropped them off. So
there's these memes, and it hits so hard with me, but it's like this disheveled dog that's just looks exhausted, right? And it's like arriving at the airport at 4 a.m. to save $50. You know?
Right, exactly. That is us, no doubt. It kind of looks like my disheveled dog right now. As I look at him, he is so upset that my wife and my boys are gone. He knows he is in the hands of the worst dog owner known to mankind. If I can, I'm going to try to lift him up here so you can see him later.
He's like, this weekend's going to suck.
Oh, man. He just knows what's ahead, man. His face is drooping. And he's like,
that's funny.
God, not with this guy.
Not going to get the treats and then the belly
It's
rub.
not Dad Fest. So when my wife goes out of town, I try to cover for the lack of responsibility that's about to take place by calling it Dad Fest. And we'll have pizza and we'll watch movies and we'll stay up late. And all that stuff.
That's not happening. He knows I have no heart for animals at all. I mean, I love them, but I'm not going to treat them like a kid or a human being, you know. And right now I'm just tap dancing here because my computer just froze. But anyway, yeah, he's kind of sad, and he knows that he's going to get just the minimum food, minimum treats. And
it's so
and
funny.
I may bring him over to Billy's house, you know.
Yeah, because
so you guys can take care of him.
My dog, which it really is mine, and it's funny because she reacts differently to me than anybody else in the house, and she's my buddy. And in fact, she's 8 years old, and for the past 7.5 years, I have not gone to the bathroom alone. It doesn't happen. She has to be there with me. In fact,
is that right?
Oh yeah, has to.
In the bathroom?
Oh yes, absolutely. And if not, she will sit outside the door and whine. Oh, no, so that's out there and whine. Yeah, she has to sit in the bathroom with me. And I think that she believes that she's protecting me, because when she's going to the bathroom outside, she kind of looks at me like, okay, and you're watching because I'm kind of vulnerable here. So I think she believes he's protecting me, even to the fact where this is how fun it is. I haven't talked about this one yet. About 90% of the time when I take a shower, she lays down right in front of the shower on the outside. So it is complicated to get out of the shower in the morning because she's right there. Yeah. And she'll come over when I'm recording stuff, and she did this weekend with Westwood One. She does it all the time. If she thinks that I've been recording too long, she goes and gets her bone, and I'm in a room that has, a hard floor. And so she comes in, she throws the bone at me, knowing that it makes noise. And then she looks at me like, haha, we're going to play now, right? We're going to play. And if I don't get up and play with her, she goes over and gets her bone. She keeps throwing it until I do, because she knows the noise I can't record. She knows it stops me. Yeah. So she's like, no, we're playing now. We're playing. You've been recording too long.
And her best friend.
Yeah. That's what she does. Yeah. That's what she does. She's crazy.
That is awesome, man.
The other cool thing about her is she knows the cats are not supposed to scratch the furniture. So if she hears that, she is on guard duty. So she runs over immediately and just nudges the cats away. Yeah.
Wow.
Not aggressively.
And she likes the snakes?
She's indifferent to them. I mean, she's seen them around. She's just completely and totally indifferent.
Yeah.
What she does do, though, is because some of the ones on the ground, if I'm on the ground and I'm doing something with it, she comes over and she'll try to sit in my lap. Like, what are we doing? I can help too. I can help. I will help you too.
That's so funny,
and there are times, or she's like, no, pay attention to me now. You do not have to pay attention to this.
She's a golden?
No, she's a Kelpie. It's a mix of a Kelpie. A Kelpie, it's a mix, but it's an Australian herding dog.
Gotcha.
She's got very short black,
cool.
very short black hair, and she's a medium-sized dog. Yeah, but
beautiful.
she's really, really great.
And her name?
Her name is Arya, and it's from Game of Thrones. Yeah, and it is from Game of Thrones. Before Arya, the character, got cool. We started when she was still kind of a lost little girl, and she is very, very, very protective because she's a herding dog.
That's funny.
Yeah, someone knocks at the door, it's go time. He's like, I will eat your face. She does not care. Yeah, it is. She's a lot of fun. She is a lot of fun.
Sounds like my wife.
Yeah.
I could say that she's going. Right.
Yes.
She's on an airplane right now. She's not listening.
She can't listen. Yeah. She's not going to the podcast out. There's no
Right,
way.
I'm praying she's not listening.
Oh, no, she's not.
Right.
Oh, that's great.
Hey, it's 29 and cloudy in Denver, expecting a high of 47 today. The 7-10 5-day forecast coming up. Our top story, still no word on the cause of the plane crash in Larimer County Saturday morning that claimed the lives of 2 people. The Larimer County Sheriff's Office says that the crew was en route in a training mission for the Civil Air Patrol when it crashed in the area of Storm Mountain. Pilot Susan Wobbler and aerial photographer Jay Rotten were both killed, while co-pilot Randall Settergren was seriously injured. Governor Polis said the state of Colorado is grateful for their commitment to service and will not be forgotten. A gas explosion and fire are to blame for the closure of a Parker restaurant. Connor Christian of South Metro Fire Rescue says despite windy conditions, firefighters were able to keep the blaze from spreading to nearby businesses.
As we know, here in Colorado, it is very dry, and even just fire can turn into a big fire very quickly, especially in a strip mall such as this. There's always the worry that this fire can extend into the neighboring business.
Nobody was injured in Sunday's explosion at the Mr. Ramen restaurant. Senator Rand Paul from Kentucky, as Jeff and Billy were talking about, says that Denver Mayor Mike Johnston needs to think twice about preventing deportations in the city.
The mayor of Denver, if he's going to resist federal law, which there's a long-standing history of the supremacy of federal law, if he's going to resist that, it will go all the way to the Supreme Court. And I would suspect that he would be removed from office. I don't know whether or not there'd be a criminal prosecution for someone resisting federal law, but he will lose. And people need to realize that what he is offering is a form of insurrection where the states resist the federal government. Most people objected to that and rejected that long ago. So I think the mayor of Denver is on the wrong side of history, and really, I think will face legal ramifications if he doesn't obey the federal law.
Cash Patel.
Put him in jail.
There you go.
He's willing to.
I know. Let's do it. Let's get that mug shot.
He wants
perp
this.
Walk.
He wants to be seen as Nelson Mandela. And
that's right.
All that stuff.
Absolutely.
All right.
So
go
don't
ahead.
show it at all. Just show the mug shot. Don't show the perp walk. And no video or photos. Yeah, that's exactly what he wants to do. You are correct. Cash Patel fires back at former FBI Director Andrew McCabe for spreading the Russiagate hoax. The comment from Patel comes after McCabe said no part of the FBI would be safe with Patel in charge.
Well, look, my 16 plus years in government service as a public defender, as a national security prosecutor, as a civilian in Joint Special Operations Command, leading President Trump's counterterrorism missions, taking out Baghdadi, returning hostages, serving as his deputy director of national intelligence, and lastly, as chief of staff. The only thing I was beholden to was the United States Constitution. And yes, I was a lead investigator where he exposed the Russiagate crimes that Comey, McCabe, Strzok, and Page, and so many others committed. And we reported to Congress those oversight matters, and those were taken up through them in the right course to the American people.
Denver police say a suspect is in custody following a deadly weekend shooting. Officers went to the 1600 block of South Federal Avenue on Saturday afternoon after an argument between 2 men turned violent. Investigators say the 40-year-old victim was trying to get into his car when the suspect shot and killed him. 24-year-old Jose Cantu Jr. has been charged with suspicion of first-degree murder. News brought to you by Lair Fireplace and Patio, Denver's premier source for everything fireplace, patio, and grills. Locally owned and operated since 1954. Online at lairfireplaceandpatio.com. Once again, let me fix that one. lairfireplacepatio.com.
Second down 9. He's going deep to the end zone. Sutton caught. Touchdown! Cortland Sutton as he beats Jack Jones.
And the Broncos beat the Raiders 29-19. Sutton caught 8 passes, 97 yards, 2 TDs. Bo Nix, 273 yards passing, and 2 touchdowns. So the Broncos in a really good position for the upcoming playoffs, and they keep on winning.
That was really weird. Late in the game, they were putting up the idea of the Broncos in the wild card hunt. You're like, no,
you're not feeling it.
No, because the other teams are the Chargers and the Baltimore Ravens. So no,
the Ravens. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
You never know. You never know.
I think in our division, no. But again, it's
faith.
It's again, longtime Broncos fan. It's nice baby steps forward. At least we aren't as bad as the Raiders, and we aren't as bad as we were last year. So the
Ravens game is in Baltimore, right?
Yeah. So it's going to be okay. It's there are some nice strides forward, and Cortland Sutton yesterday looked like the guy that we hoped he was when we drafted him. He was very dominant, and that's what you wanted. So there were some great things to take away from yesterday. Again, we're not going to the Super Bowl yet, but even just
next, man, I'm pumped on him.
It's fantastic.
Yeah,
great decision making, just solid
he
decision
now
making.
has thrown more touchdowns than any other Broncos freshman year or rookie year, right?
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
As a rookie.
Just solid decision making. That's the thing. He's not trying to do things that he shouldn't in many cases, and that's great. I love watching that. It's a lot. It's a lot of fun to watch. So again, baby steps. We can't lose our heads, Broncos fans, but that was a good one, especially against the Raiders.
No doubt. And the uniform report, I like those. Actually, I like those. The dark blue unis with the white jerseys and the flat blue. It's pretty nice.
I kind of wanted something on the pants there, some sort of something else, just rather than plain blue pants. But
that's what makes them look different, though.
That is true. My friend. You are right about that.
There's not a lot of orange in it, so
it looked nice.
Looked a little different.
Yeah, it was a nice look yesterday.
Nice job. I'll give it a B plus. No doubt.
I think so too. B plus is about right for the innings.
All right. The uniforms are as I have concluded for the day. We'll continue with the next uniform maybe next week because they only have like 30 different versions now.
Yes.
24 in Golden, 27 in Aurora, 29 in Denver. Jeff and Billy continue Monday morning. Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Thanksgiving week starts off with fair, dry weather today, but we're going to see some weather move in late tomorrow and Wednesday. Sunny. Temperatures in the 40s, lows tonight, upper 20s. Increasingly cloudy Tuesday, highs upper 40s with a chance of a snow or rain shower developing during the day. Snow showers Tuesday night, lower 30s. Snow showers likely and colder Wednesday, highs 30s. Weather sponsored by Colorado's Best Roofing, reminding you to protect your home from the harsh Colorado weather and schedule your free, no-obligation roof inspection today at roofingcolorado.com. That's roofingcolorado.com. Meteorologist Don Day of the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
All right, I got to pull X account. If you go to x.com, Jeff Hunt, are you going to talk politics at the Thanksgiving dinner table? Yes, no, or MAGA all the time?
Oh, who's going to start a food fight?
So here's what's being advertised to me, by the way. Donald Trump charcuterie boards.
Oh, jeez. That's funny. That is
so
really
like with
funny.
his outline, and you could do like the cheese where the hair is and all that stuff. So
that's crazy.
Well, speaking of politics, do you know a high school student passionate about engaging in cultural, political issues? The knowledge and skills needed to impact the world through civic engagement is an ever-increasing need in today's society. Colorado Christian University is at the forefront of meeting this crucial need, equipping the next generation of competent, convictional Christian leadership in American politics. CCU's degree programs in politics with an emphasis in public policy prepare students for the complex challenges of modern politics from an unapologetically Christian and foundationally conservative worldview. In this distinctive program, students learn how to impact public policy and advance Christian conservative ideas. Colorado Christian University also houses the Centennial Institute, a think tank committed to mobilizing ideas on faith, family, and freedom to strengthen America's future. CCU's mission to produce graduates who impact the world with grace and truth applies in no greater measure than our politics and public policy program. Apply today at ccu.edu/apply. That's ccu.edu/apply. So, Bill, you were on the main stage, right?
No, I was on the festival stage.
Were you on the festival stage?
Yeah.
They had different stages?
Yeah, they had 4 stages. I was out at the star lighting at Castle Rock. You had dad duty.
I did.
So, yeah, you could not join me, but they invited us both. We were the minor level celebrities that were there. There were some people from Channel 9, and there was another radio station host.
Who was from Channel 9?
It was Gary Shapiro and whatever her name is that does the evening. I don't know what her name is. No, not Kim. It's the other one. Maybe it's the morning gal. I don't know. The long hair.
But not Kyle. You didn't go put your arm around Kyle Clark.
No, Kyle was not there. And there were a couple other radio personalities there, but I was off. It was a really nice area on the festival stage. It was I would say one of the larger stage areas. It was really cool. And I did stage announcements and got to meet a lot of people. And I introduced a lot of the choirs and dance troupes that are in the area.
Nice.
So it was really kind of cool. And wow, were there a lot of people? It was really neat. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was fantastic.
I saw a lot of pictures.
Yeah.
And people were commenting. It's Castle Rock is like right out of a Hallmark.
Oh, it was fantastic.
Movie.
It really was. And it was about a 3-block area. And you just wander around. It was, all the businesses kind of set up shop out front. And then there were other people that had come in and had their little pop-up events. And you get food. There were tons of food trucks out there. And you'd walk around and there was the Emporium was a fantastic little shop and knickknacks inside of it. Yes. The weather was absolutely gorgeous. And found myself a hat. I had to get a hat. There was this pop-up stand that had ridiculous hats, and I had to go back because I saw it early on. And after I did the first stage announcement, I'm like, I got to go back to get me that hat. And my wife's like, you're not serious, are you? I'm like, have you met me? She's like, oh, okay, fine. So I had to go back and get the hat. It's a fedora that is covered in ugly sweater pattern. It's a really, so it's an ugly sweater fedora. Now, here's what puts it over the top.
You gotta wear that tomorrow, dude.
Not there. No,
I want to see that.
This thing is, the thing is to put it over the top. At first, I'm kind of like, okay, a little pricey on it. Then I noticed the secret. There's a little button on the side. It has LED lights. It lights up and blinks.
Please bring that tomorrow.
It is fantastic. It is so good. And my wife was wearing it as we were leaving, and she was getting compliments because as the sun goes down, all of a sudden the hat goes to another level. It goes to a whole another level. It doesn't just look like an ugly hat. It becomes something that is entertaining. So it was really cool. It was a lot of fun. Met a lot of people. The funniest thing that happened, of course, I am at the Core Energy Cooperative. That's the stage. That's the one where they're sponsoring there. So I've got a member of Core that is going to get up part of the way through, and she's going to say a little stuff to the crowd. And so I'm sitting there. It's about 45 minutes beforehand. And there's a couple hundred people milling around in this area. Again, really, really nice area. And my wife and I are talking about, like, we could retire in Castle Rock. This is so cool. She actually was looking at places, which is kind of funny. She's like, yeah, she was shopping already. And I'm like,
warning.
Really?
Castle Rock residents,
exactly.
Bill incoming.
I know. So the fun part is I was sitting there and I'm looking around and I point out this one in the crowd. I'm like, I bet she's the core energy person. My wife's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, I think she's the core energy person. And she's like, what? Okay, whatever, dummy. So half an hour, 45 minutes later, we have to get up on stage. Guess who's my person I have to talk to? The woman that I picked out in the crowd of a couple hundred people. And my wife looks at me and she goes, how'd you know that? And I said, I'm looking at the crowd thinking, if I was a kind of a marketing director, some manager level person from Core, and I have to get up on stage at the holiday, that's what I'm wearing. That's what I would pick out of my closet.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I'm like, that's what I think she'd be wearing. And so it was perfect. It was really nice black boots, black tights, and a really nice red sweater dress. But I'm like, out of everything in the crowd, I'm like, she looks like the person from, the Core Energy Cooperative that would be up on stage with me. And I was absolutely right. That was just kind of funny that I pointed out to And my wife came and one of the kids came and we wandered around for a while and it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it.
Did anyone run into you? Go, Jeff or Bill from the Jeff and Bill show?
Actually, no, and that was actually a positive because, I was allowed to be a little bit more incognito. But more importantly, and you like that when they come up and they say hello. But more importantly is I got to stand on that stage and talk to a whole bunch of people that don't listen to us. And that to me is gold.
That is great.
Because I can sell them on what we do. Because this is a whole bunch of people.
Welcome them to our show. They might be listening this morning.
The whole idea is, this is what we do. And so I get a chance to stand there and tell people that aren't listeners to try to convince them to spend some time with us in the morning. Yeah, that's great. I love seeing all of our fans. But that is a wonderful opportunity. And I really appreciate Kevin for giving us the opportunity to do that. That was really special to me that I could get up there and talk to a whole bunch of people.
Kevin with the chamber down there.
Yeah.
Castle Rock Chamber.
It was so cool. It was a really, really nice event. And these girls, those dance studios, wow, do they bring it. Oh, my goodness. They do a fantastic job. And the Calvary Castle Rock Choir was there, and they are wonderful singers. And there was a children's choir as well, a really, really nice children's choir that has a woman that sings with the Colorado Opera. And so she has the voice of an angel and she's really working with these young kids that are really beginning singers, kids like 5, 6, 10, where you're really starting to, fall in love with music. And that was really neat to see. But yeah, the Calvary Castle Rock Choir. Wow.
Thanks for doing that, Bill. And welcome to all of our listeners. Yeah. And please note, Bill available for all of your party booking needs.
Yeah. The other thing that was funny is, of course, I have kind of a big voice. And so I can project. And so I know how to use the microphone on stage. So it was kind of weird where I'm very loud on this. And then the other people, I'd hand the mic to someone else and they go, hi, yeah, you just couldn't hear them. And they're like, one of them was like, how do you possibly, I'm like, there's a trick, but I can't teach you in this time how to do it. There's a trick to how you do the microphone announcements on stage. There is a trick to it, but it takes a little bit of practice. But yeah, so it was kind of fun. But yeah.
And special thank you to Kevin over at the Chamber and Castle Rock for allowing us to be a part of it.
Oh, thanks for thinking of us. It was really special.
Hopefully we can do it again next year.
Yeah, made a lot of really good memories. It was so cool. And it's 59th year there. 59th year. So
wow.
A couple of times during the announcements, I reminded people, I said, listen, you have parents that came here as kids that are bringing their kids to make these memories. This is how cool this is. Oh, and shout out to Ben, who was the audio engineer on the stage. That was really cool. I came over to him and Ben's like, okay, man, when do you want to go on? When do this? I'm like, no, Ben, you've been here for hours. This is your stage. You tell me, you point me when you want me on, I go on. I will talk. And then when I come back down, you tell me which microphone to use. You tell me where to leave it. This is your stage. And he goes, really? I'm like, yes. He goes, thank you. Yeah. So Ben and I were friends afterwards. I'm like, no, man, you tell me when you're ready. As soon as you're ready for the next performer, I'll get up, I'll do my thing. I'll take care of it. I'll leave the microphone where you want and we'll do it. Like, this is all about, you take care of this. I go, I can get up there without you doing your job and I'm an idiot. I go, but you can do this without me. You can just transition to the next, thing. I'm just here to, make this sound good. That's it, man. So
that's cool.
Yeah, it was really cool to hang out with Ben too.
Look, for many of us, it's happening. Your hair's thinning, your crown's disappearing. Maybe hair loss has you feeling your identity is lost altogether. Well, I've got news for you. It's an incredible yet simple one-day treatment to start growing your own natural hair the very next day, and it's guaranteed to grow for life. It's the Advanced FUE from Advanced Hair. We've all seen the pills and lotions that come with monthly subscriptions. They help retain what you have, but what if what you want is your own natural hair permanently in specific areas? From Advanced Hair's state-of-the-art facilities to world-class Dr. Tanya Pauls, it's not maybe will your hair regrow. It's guaranteed that your new hair will grow. You decide how much, how thick, and where. It's why Advanced Hair is the winner of Westward's Best of Denver. For your free consultation, $250 off and 250 free hair grafts. Call 720-459-HAIR. That's 720-459-HAIR or advancedhair.com. Advancedhair.com. Coming up, I want to get into this Mike Johnston, Rand Paul issue. You heard some of the audio. What's Mike Johnston going to do? How far do you think he's going to push it? Is he going to go full Nelson Mandela, go spend, 20 plus years in prison in order to defend the illegal immigrants here in Denver? Or is he this is all just a bunch of hoopla?
Yeah, just posturing.
And posturing and not going to go anywhere. Would love to get your calls. Give us a call, 303-696-1971, or text us on the Dan Capitalist Law text line, 720-819-5115. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
Denver's talk leader, News Talk 710, KNUS.
At this hour, I'm Christina Wayo in Dallas, and here are your top stories. A whopping 60% of Americans say they agree with how President Donald Trump is handling the transition, according to a new poll. So far, Trump has been busy at work, rapidly appointing people to his new administration. Trump recently named former Florida Attorney General Pam Bondi to lead the Department of Justice as Attorney General. 47% of voters think Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Trump's nominee to lead the Department of Health and Human Services, is a good choice. 44% feel Marco Rubio will be a good Secretary of State, and only 28% of voters oppose Pete Hegseth, with 39% saying they haven't heard enough about him to form an opinion. The poll also found that 51% of Americans overall and 81% of Republicans believe that it's important for Trump to appoint people who are loyal to him personally. Working-class voters helped Republicans make steady election gains this year and expanded a coalition that increasingly includes rank-and-file union members. It's a political shift spotlighting one of President Donald Trump's latest cabinet picks, a GOP congresswoman who has drawn labor support to be his labor secretary. Oregon Representative Lori Chavez DeRemer narrowly lost her bid for a second term this month, despite strong backing from union members. They're a key part of the Democrat base, but are gravitating in the Trump era toward a Republican Party that now aligns with the working class people. In Dallas, Christina Owayo, Salem News Channel.
RockyMountainBargains.com, where you'll always pay half price. Why pay retail when you can get what you want at 50% off? Just go to RockyMountainBargains.com and save. Here's this week's featured item.
A Keurig K Supreme Plus Smart Serve coffee maker valued at $200. Get it now for half price.
Get it now at RockyMountainBargains.com for 50% off. RockyMountainBargains.com, where you always pay half price. Restrictions apply. Go to RockyMountainBargains.com for complete details.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Very special Thanksgiving week broadcast. Joining us Monday, November 25th. So this was Rand Paul, who I really like, by the way, yesterday on Face of the Nation, talking about our own mayor, Mike Johnston.
That the mayor of Denver, if he's going to resist federal law, which there's a long-standing history of the supremacy of federal law, if he's going to resist that, it will go all the way to the Supreme Court. And I would suspect that he would be removed from office. I don't know whether or not there'd be a criminal prosecution for someone resisting federal law, but he will lose. And people need to realize that what he is offering is a form of insurrection, where the states resist the federal government. Most people objected to that and rejected that long ago. So I think the mayor of Denver is on the wrong side of history, and really, I think will face legal ramifications if he doesn't obey the federal law.
So how far do you think Mayor Mike Johnston's going to push this? Would love to get your phone calls on this, 303-696-1971, or text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line, 720-819-5115. So, Bill, there's part of me that goes, well, this could end up being a really serious issue. You could have a Tiananmen Square-like issue in the city of Denver with federal immigration, law enforcement versus citizens protesting those mass deportations, the mayor out there making this a big moment. But then there's another part of me that goes, well, every election, no matter who wins, the opposite party gets their governors together and their attorney generals together, and they fire up the lawsuit machine, and they just throw sticks into the cogs of the federal government as much as they possibly can to slow it down. This is just what happens in America. Yeah. So I don't know where this could go.
I think that Mayor Johnston is doing a lot of hyperbole. I don't think that he really means that he is going to get police and or volunteers to meet any sort of federal troops or ICE agents at the county line. I don't think so, because it seems incredibly impractical. One, how do you know when they're coming? And are they going to give you a save the date notice? I don't know. I'm not sure about that. But if there is some coordination, I don't know. Maybe it's a nice engraved invitation. You are cordially invited to join us to round up I have no idea how this goes. But if there is some conversations between the two departments, I'm curious to how the local police department would view, and based on their rules and oaths that they take and some other stuff, a potential conflict with federal ICE authorities. Now, you can tell them not to work with them based on to not share information based on the sanctuary city provision, but to create a counter to them, that seems a little different. Right. That seems really different when you're telling them to stop the federal authorities for whatever they're doing for them executing their orders and their jobs.
Yes.
That seems weird to me.
Well, when you have two armed oppositions both ordered to stop each other, yikes, that's how you end up in a civil war. I don't think that Mayor Mike's going to push it all the way. I think he wants to be the governor of Colorado, and in a deeply progressive state like our state here, the more progressive he gets, the more he joins the progressive wing of the Democrat Party, the more he's just going to win that primary and probably walk right into the governor's office. Unfortunately, that just has to do with our electorate.
Oh, so this is positioning for that.
I think so.
Okay. I can see that, my friend. I think you got something there.
Yeah.
You maybe this is PR rather than actually executable policy. Okay, that makes sense.
I think so. Plus, I want to lay this out for y'all. I did this on X the other day. Mayor Mike Johnston brings in 40,000 illegal immigrants, welcomes them, in fact, puts a big banner up. Welcome illegal immigrants. Then the people of Denver vote to allow non-citizens to become police. And then Mayor Mike Johnston orders said police to oppose our federal immigration law enforcement. This is just so backwards. Why this is an issue, why the city of Denver has to make this an issue when they're just enforcing the law. Federal law enforcement is just enforcing the law rather than actually solving the myriad of other things we got to deal with. It's just mind-numbingly stupid to me. All right, let's go to Melissa Lakewood. Good morning, Melissa.
Hey, morning.
Good morning, guys. Hope you had a good weekend.
Yeah, you too.
Oh yeah, we're at a Castle Rock. I was. Jeff was doing dad stuff.
Awesome. I just wanted to bring up the fact, don't you think that every other illegal in the country is going to want to now come to Colorado? Like, it's not fair to the citizens of Colorado for a few people to be making this decision.
Fairness?
That's interesting.
Fairness to the citizens of Colorado? I don't think that's ever crossed the mind of our elected officials. I mean, Melissa, you're exactly right. They're going to create, I mean, if you're in Utah, Kansas, Wyoming, living as an illegal immigrant, yeah, rather than going back to your home country, you can come to Denver. That's exactly where they're going to go.
Now, Melissa,
Yep,
I'd heard something that was kind of tongue in cheek, but did have some, I think, has some merit behind it. I don't think they'd ever do it, but there was some talk about if the countries of origin for some of these illegal immigrants wouldn't take them back. And again, this is social media playing around. Someone online suggested that maybe what you do is then you just take them to any one of the proposed sanctuary cities and just drop them off there. So if like Venezuela doesn't let us take these guys back, they're to say, okay, well, let's just drop them off in LA or Denver or somewhere else that declares themselves a sanctuary city and say, now they're yours. And I'm like, dang, that's, I'm not sure it could be executed that way, but I can't argue with that, as far as the decision.
I mean, look at all the people that the pot thing brought. But I just want to mention one thing. I was just in Keystone a few weeks ago, and there's like gang signs in Keystone.
Well, that might actually wake people up. When it gets to the rich liberals, then they finally do something about it. Melissa, great call. Really appreciate it. Thanks so much. Let's go to Marcus. Good morning, Marcus. Aurora.
Yeah, good morning, guys. Hey, I only wanted to say one thing. Mayor Johnston shot himself in the foot because they're going to withhold federal funding, and Denver can't function without it.
Yeah.
Yep, 100%.
Yeah, that is going to be a stick.
That's when you're going to see how committed, how deeply committed are progressives to their ideologies when they can't pay for anything else.
Yeah, I'm curious, Marcus, what federal funding they're going to tie to it, because that, I think, depending on what strings they pull, there may be some court things to say, hey, you've got to provide X, Y, or Z, but how do they use that? Because, again, federal funding for roads, that's always the one they go to. Yeah. Because that seems to be the one that has the most leeway.
Need it. We got bike lanes.
Exactly. And you like those bike lanes, don't you, Marcus?
Yeah, well, I hate them.
I know. I know you do.
Nobody ever uses them anyway, hardly.
Yeah.
But I look at the homeless and subsidized housing and all, they depend on those funds. And those projects are not going to get done. And Mayor Johnston went too far.
Yeah.
Marcus,
I can't wait to see what happens.
Yeah, I think you're right, Marcus, that he's going to lose the federal funding. And then what is he going to do? Where is he going to get all those millions and millions of dollars that he has no idea where he's spending them on the homeless? I mean, he can't irresponsibly spend more tax dollars if he doesn't get more tax dollars from the federal government. I mean,
and I think he's required by law.
Yeah.
I think he's required by law to have a balanced budget too.
Yeah, so. I think so. But yeah, I just think that, how's he going to, lose 40% of the federal funding if he doesn't get the federal funding? Going back to the money that he doesn't know how he spent on the homeless, he has no idea where he spent like 40% of it. That's because, that's leadership. But I'll tell you what, I have a group that can show you how to lead your way out of pain. I've been working with Balanced Wealth Space. You heard me talking about them for months now, and the change they've made in my life is nothing short of remarkable. This weekend, I was digging some stuff out of my parents' house, and I was lifting records. I've forgotten how heavy records are. They're so heavy, but my back held up fantastically as I'm moving things around my mom's apartment and making sure everything's in the place where they need to be. Because you know how that is when you help out the parents, you go over and you got other stuff you got to do. And it was nice for me to not worry about physically if I was going to be able to help out my parents. It's also nice that you remember that snowstorm that we had a couple of weeks ago. Well, I was out there shoveling that snow on a Saturday, and it was the handle of my shovel that was creaking and moaning, not my back. And that's ridiculous. That's the difference that Balanced Wealth Space has made in my life, and I want you to talk to them so they can make a difference in yours. Here's the deal. Contact them, balancewealthspace.com, balancewealthspace.com. They have brand new offices there in Lowry, right across from Hangar 2, and you can go and visit them on Tuesday, December 3rd. 5 p.m., they're hosting an open house. Complimentary wine, cheese, crackers. You get to talk to the team. Plus, you get to talk to a representative about bioidentical hormone replacement therapy. This is those things where you feel tired. You feel more run down than you did when you were younger. Part of it is because your hormones are not being produced in your body like they were when you were young. You remember puberty and those raging hormones? Yeah, where were those days? They don't have those anymore. But what it means is your body isn't producing those hormones. That's why you get tired. That's why you feel like you get up in the morning and you still need another 8 hours of sleep. I've gone through this a couple of times. It's not something you do on the regular, but it just boosts your hormones from time to time. Go and check them out, but you got to reserve your space. Space is limited December 3rd, 5 p.m., Tuesday at Balance Well Space in Lowry. Check them out at balancewellspace.com. You can talk to the team about all the difference they can make in your life because it is integrative medicine. In one office, you get opportunities to get chiropractic treatment, neuropathic treatment, physical rehabilitation, wave therapy, regenerative care, trigger point injections, and so much more. I want them to have the opportunity to make the difference in your life they have made in mine. My pain has disappeared. Yours can too, but it can't until you take the first step. BalanceWellSpace.com. Talk to my friends at BalanceWellSpace.com. And when you do, tell them you heard about them here on the Jeff and Bill Show, because boy, does it help us out. And we appreciate it.
It sure does. Great to hear, Bill. Coming up, you choose the news. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
Denver's Talk Leader, News Talk 710, KNUS.
Well, Billy, there's a group of folks out there that have got a pretty bad case of the Mondays.
Yes,
and the
they
only
do.
thing that can help them, you choose the news.
Yes. Let's get you going to work with a smile on your face by playing America's favorite fake radio news game show, You Choose the News. I scoured the interwebs this weekend for really dumb stories about us humans so that we can play this fake radio news game. Why? Because this is what happens when we are left unsupervised. Nobody in charge is awake at this hour, and we will take full advantage of them not knowing what's going on. Alrighty, remember, shh, this is a secret. Blake Olson is going to join us from the news department. Jeff Hunt in the studio. Here we go, gentlemen. Your choices are headline number 1, F for effort. Headline number 2, sneaky inflation. Headline number 3, boomin' in the new year. And headline number 4, lost and found, double Jeopardy edition. Mr. Hunt.
Booming in the new year.
Yeah, we are going to go booming in the new year if you get a chance to travel to Macon-Bibb County. On Tuesday, they approved a very unique celebration for New Year's Eve. Most of the time, you are going to go ahead and shoot off the fireworks. Instead, they're going to blow stuff up. Yes, they are blowing up a hotel for New Year's Eve in the city. Yes, they purchased an old hotel for $4.5 million. They're going to spend just about $2 million in order to blow it up. Now, the hotel originally opened in the 1970s. Guests include luminaries like Elvis, but it was never a financial success. Then it was seized by the New York banking department in 1991 because it was an asset that was part of a fraud and money laundering scheme. It's never been really reopened and hasn't ever been successful. So it was sold recently at auction. The city bought it. They don't know what they're going to do with the land. But I just like the idea that for New Year's Eve, they're blowing stuff up. I think that's what we should do.
Is that in Vegas? Where
No.
was the city?
Oh, yeah. They didn't. No, this is in, it is Macon-Bibb County, I believe. I don't know where that is.
Macon-Bibb County.
Macon-Bibb County is where I got it from. So I have no idea. Yeah, beyond that. Let's see.
Michigan? Minnesota?
I don't know.
Huh.
But evidently, the building was designed by noted architect Morris Lapidus. Also did many famous Miami Beach hotels. So, yeah, kind of cool.
That'll be fun.
I know. I just like the idea of them blowing stuff up. I just like
that Miami Beach architecture.
Oh, yeah.
Nice. I like it.
I just love the idea that for New Year's Eve, they just blow stuff up.
Oh,
I think that's a
agree.
much better idea.
I think that is
Yeah,
cool.
I think we should choose something every year. We could have blown up like the First Bank Center. They turned that thing down. We could have done that. That would have been fun. See? We got ideas here. Alrighty. Blake Olson, your choice, sir. F for effort, sneaky inflation, or lost and found double Jeopardy edition.
Ooh, Lost and Found Double Jeopardy edition.
Lost and Found Double Jeopardy edition. Someone might remember the reference to that old 90s movie to see where we are going with this tale. But luckily, police have found a Wisconsin man. He is alive and well. They thought that in August of this year, he perished in a kayaking accident. Turns out he staged his own death and is now in Uzbekistan.
Yes, it popped up on a video, right?
Yes, the 45-year-old, and he's 45 years old, and he's a married father of 2. He was reported missing and presumed dead in August. It now appears he has fled to Eastern Europe. The question is, why? Now, police have figured out that he did stage the entire accident. He had a separate kayak that was ready for him. He got back to the shore of the lake, and then in Green Lake is where it was. And then he got onto a bicycle. He rode the bicycle to Madison, Wisconsin. From there, he got up to Detroit. From Detroit, went into Canada. From Canada, jumped on a plane and went to Eastern Europe and ends up in Uzbekistan. He recently sent a video back to his family to tell them he's alive and well. But there's something else, because it's the way that police are talking about it. The police are obscuring something. They're saying, our concern has been that he safely gets back to the U.S. He needs to return home to his children. If he chooses not to return from his own free will, I believe the message is clear. We just want him safe and sound back on American soil. That's it. They're not talking anything else. There's something else. He's running from something, is my guess. He's running from something.
The mob.
The way that the police are talking about this, he did something. And that's what he's trying to. Yeah. Especially if you stage your own death. So, all right.
Yeah.
Now, final choice. I know. Final. And I love the fact that he's like, in August, he disappears, thinks he's dead, and comes back. Hi, guys. I'm fine. Wait, hang on. Exactly. Why do you stage your own death if you're just going to later go, hello? Well, I don't think you understand how this works.
Uzbekistan models.
Yes, exactly.
Maybe Maybe he's having an affair
Could be.
with one of
He
them.
could. Now, final choice this morning, Mr. Hunt. F for effort or sneaky inflation?
Sneaky inflation.
Yes, this is totally sneaky inflation. Thanks, Joe Biden. See, 4 companies currently dominating a multi-billion-dollar market here in the U.S. are being accused of collusion. In 2 class action lawsuits filed this week in U.S. District Court, last week, they claim the 4 leading potato companies in the U.S. and Canada, McCain Foods, Cavendish Farms, Lamb Weston, and J.R. Simplot, have been privately sharing info and supply chain information along with pricing. The lawsuits say that magically through 2021 all the way through 2023, their prices all went up almost exactly at the same time to exactly the same penny. That is super, super weird that the market pressures would affect them all exactly the same way. Huh. Oh, well, but they wouldn't do that to us, would they? No, they wouldn't artificially raise the prices. That's it, sir. That's the end of You Choose the News.
All right, coming up in the 7 o'clock hour, Peter Boyles and Barb Kirkmeyer joining us. Bet you didn't put those two together. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
KNUS.
It is 7 a.m. in the Mile High City. Good morning, Denver, Colorado. You've tuned into the Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710 KNUS. I'm your co-host, Jeff Hunt, along with Bill Thorpe, bringing you the freshest insights, hottest takes from the right, left, and center. Congratulations. You just woke up in the greatest country in history, and it's Thanksgiving week. We're bringing a very special Jeff and Bill Show. By the way, Wednesday, Pete Boyles is going to be doing something special.
Yeah, and we're going to talk to him about it in a sec.
That's exactly cool. Right. Yeah, you're not going to miss this. Well, we've got a whole hour planned for you following Pete Boyles. We're going to talk with Barb Kirkmeyer. She was part of the Joint Budget Committee that grilled Jenna Griswold on Friday over this disastrous leaking of these BIOS passwords that were out there. So you're not going to want to miss this conversation. And then we got a whole lot left for the rest of the day. Amy Stevens is going to join us in the 8 o'clock hour to talk this Colorado Springs mayor brewing scandal that may be taking place down there. And then Pete Hegseth, is he going to get through this confirmation battle? We'll talk about that in the 9 o'clock hour. Let's go back to the phone lines real quick. Francis Golden. Good morning, Francis. You're on the Jeff and Bill Show.
Hey, gang. Happy Thanksgiving week.
Yeah, you too.
Hey, yeah, man, I try to diet so I can gorge later.
I do as well, brother.
Hey, I think Mike Johnston, he got way over his skis on this. And I think if he could walk back his statement, he would in a heartbeat, because he's drawn a whole lot of attention, certainly, but it isn't well thought out. Rand Paul is 100% right about this. And it's part of what kind of calls the lie on this whole sanctuary city and sanctuary state nonsense. Immigration is federal, absolutely federal. And the states and cities that like to try to call themselves sanctuary whatever, they try to ball it all up in this idea of federalism and some sort of states' rights, or some sort of almost like a city state right. Like I think Mike Johnston almost views Denver as some sort of like a Italian city state in the Middle Ages or something that can just thumb its nose at reality. And yeah. I think that he would definitely want to take this back if he could.
But Francis, look, they've been thumbing their nose at federal immigration law for years now. They put the giant sign up, "We Heart Immigrants." They've spent well over $100 million providing services to 40,000 illegal immigrants. And the left, which is Mike Johnston's voting base, has just sat there and applauded him the whole time. We're so great. You're so good. You care for people. Look at all the wonderful things you're doing out there. And so he's had no real pushback from the federal government. Definitely not the last 4 years. So now we're going to have to see how it plays out.
Yeah. Yep. I just think I like the fact that Rand Paul kind of finally called this for what it is, which is kind of, it's fine if you can have these little games in your mind and think that you can get away with this and have your self-image try to, be some sort of a superhero pure or something. I don't know. But the reality is that isn't how the government works. And, this is a supremacy clause problem.
Yep.
And Mike Johnston doesn't understand that, I guess.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I'd agree.
Well, have a good Thanksgiving, you jokers.
You too, my friend. Thanks, Francis. Have a good one.
Always appreciate the call. Let's check in on news and comment with Blake Olson. Good morning, Blake.
Hey, good morning, Jeff and Billy. Francis, so nice. What a great caller. 28.
We got good ones, man.
Man, they're the best. 28 and cloudy in Denver, expecting a high of 47 today. The 7-10 5-day forecast. Coming up, our top story, the FAA says air traffic could be slowed down during peak travel times because of staffing issues. The area that could be most impacted is the Northeast, especially New York, because of a shortage of air traffic controllers. Tuesday is expected to be the busiest travel day with almost 3 million travelers. DIA running smoothly at this hour, and it looked really good at 3:15 this morning. I can tell you that firsthand. A new poll shows that most voters approve of the job DJT is doing as he prepares to take office. The CBS poll released Sunday found nearly 60% of voters saying they approve of Trump's handling of his presidential transition at this point. DJT expected to kick transgender troops out of U.S. military as soon as January 20th, according to a new report from the Times. The move would remove about 15,000 transgender active service members. They would be medically discharged, which would determine that they were unfit to serve. The Times reported that. It would also lead to a ban on trans people joining the military and would come at a time when almost all branches of the armed forces are failing to meet recruitment targets. Pete Hegseth on Seth Ryan.
We are at a tipping point for total institutional corruption. And Trump has a chance to reverse that. Because what the military did, they committed a Bud Light. Like in search of a non-traditional constituency, they offended their core constituency. So there aren't enough lesbians in San Francisco to man the 82nd Airborne. And in trying to cater to that, they lost the boys from Tennessee and Kentucky and Oklahoma. The traditional dudes who did it, they loved their country, or they wanted the adventure, or they, wanted to try tough things, or they need an up and out of their community, whatever it is. They're like, if I wanted to do the woke crap, I could go to the local community college.
And Senator Rand Paul.
Bro, that is a line that,
right?
that should be
That is
put
beautiful.
on a plaque.
Yes.
There's not enough lesbians in San Francisco to man the
That
82nd
classic?
Airborne.
That's the reason I played that soundbite. This is classic, man. So well done.
Talk about getting straight to the point.
Yes, right there. Clarity, man. I love that example. It's just beautiful. And I agree. Senator Rand Paul from Kentucky says the Denver Mayor Mike Johnston, speaking of woke, needs to think twice about preventing deportations in the city.
The mayor of Denver, if he's going to resist federal law, which there's a long-standing history of the supremacy of federal law, if he's going to resist that, it will go all the way to the Supreme Court. And I would suspect that he would be removed from office. I don't know whether or not there'd be a criminal prosecution for someone resisting federal law, but he will lose. And people need to realize that what he is offering is a form of insurrection, where the states resist the federal government. Most people objected to that and rejected that long ago. So I think the mayor of Denver is on the wrong side of history, and really, I think will face legal ramifications if he doesn't obey the federal law.
And Senator Mark Wayne Mullin suggests that Democrats are slandering Tulsi Gabbard as a Russian asset because they're angry she left the Democratic Party and she didn't go woke like the Dems. He said that Tammy Duckworth lied about her.
Tulsi Gabbard is still lieutenant colonel in the United States Army. She commands the reserve unit here in Oklahoma and Missouri. If she was compromised, if she wasn't able to pass a background check, if she wasn't able to do her job, she still wouldn't be in the Army. And so Tammy is absolutely dead wrong on this, and she should retract those words. That's the most dangerous thing she could say, is that a United States lieutenant colonel in the United States Army is compromised and is an asset of Russia. It's actually sad to hear her say that. When I heard her say that, I thought, I wonder if this is political. Because she's upset that Tulsi Gabbard left the Democrat Party because they went woke. Because I know they actually got along when they were in the House, and she knows Tulsi Gabbard. She knows her heart. She has a heart to serve.
In Las Vegas on Sunday.
Bailey caught one for 11, 36-yard catch and run by Mims, 1st and goal. Next to the air. Caught! Sutton, touchdown! He's done it again! Number 2 today. And the Broncos extend their lead.
Broncos beat the Raiders 29-19, and Cortland Sutton caught 8 passes, 97 yards, 2 touchdowns. Bo Nix, 273 yards passing with 2 TDs. 24 in Boulder, 26 in Centennial, 28 in Denver. Jeff and Billy continue.
Absolutely. Very punchable. There's some things that come out of my face that I'm absolutely punchable.
It's Monday morning. I love that one. that is the best.
Speaking of
man.
put some on a plaque.
Yes, I am.
My
the cover
face is very punchable.
Oh, I am. I am the cover model for Punchable Face magazine. I got no problem with that one.
That is awesome. Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Thanksgiving week starts off with fair, dry weather today, but we're going to see some weather move in late tomorrow and Wednesday. Sunny. Temperatures in the 40s, lows tonight, upper 20s. Increasingly cloudy Tuesday, highs upper 40s with a chance of a snow or rain shower developing during the day. Snow showers Tuesday night, lower 30s. Snow showers likely in colder Wednesday, highs 30s. Weather sponsored by Colorado's Best Roofing, reminding you to protect your home from the harsh Colorado weather and schedule your free, no-obligation roof inspection today at roofingcolorado.com. That's roofingcolorado.com. Meteorologist Don Day of the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
Well, one of the things you may be discussing around the Thanksgiving dinner table is we got to move. Maybe you're upgrading your house. Maybe you're downgrading your house. Maybe you need to get out of the state of Colorado altogether. I don't know. But if you are thinking of moving, especially in this tough market, you got to choose the best, the very best, like the elite, the Top Gun home sale folks out there. That's Gay Ribble and the Empower Home team of Keller Williams. Listen to this. Did you know that last year, over 49% of homes listed did not sell with the real estate agent who took the initial listing? 49%. That means they went through the whole rigmarole of taking pictures of the home, getting it all clean, doing the open houses, signing all the documents, negotiations, all that stuff. And then you had to switch and go with somebody new. This cost home sellers thousands of dollars in lower offers and painful holding costs. Gay Ribble and the Empower Home team of Keller Williams have a track record of selling homes fast, and they get their home sellers 6.1% more money on average, netting their sellers $30,500 more in their pocket. They do this using their proven proprietary systems and guarantees. So go with the team that doesn't just make empty promises, but can actually provide proof of their experience and a track record of getting homes sold for top dollar. Gay Ribble and the Empower Home team is so confident in the services they provide and the results they get you that if you're not happy, you can cancel at any time at no cost to you. This is their cancellation promise. Call 833-301-SOLD. That's 833-301-SOLD, or visit gayasthebuyers.com. That's GAYE hasthebuyers.com. And maybe have a conversation with the family around Thanksgiving, get that home sold, move on to bigger and better things for yourself. All right. So speaking of Thanksgiving, it's a tradition with this guy, the legend of radio, Peter Boyles, who does the imaginary Thanksgiving Day Parade. Pete, thanks for joining the Jeff and Bill Show.
Good morning. Jeffrey, Billy, good morning, man. Thank you.
So tell folks all about this.
I don't know that much about it. It's but by the way, I was on the other line with the Venezuelan marching band. They're going to be appearing this year.
Oh, excellent.
From TDA.
That's great.
But I am worried about the mayor trying to stop the parade this year. He's never done that, but he's going to put the cops out there so the Venezuelans can march.
He's going to stand in front of that tank like the Tiananmen Square crisis.
We got that Russian T-37 tank that the Tiananmen. He's going to put a rose in the barrel.
Yes, he will.
That's much later in the parade. So this begins, and Billy and I talked about it. I don't even know when it began, and I know what the idea was, and I don't even sure. I've been on more radio stations than Connell Rad, so I don't even know where I was working. And I came up with this idea of having a parade, and it would be really inputted by listeners and, people that were as crazy as the three of us. And so I launched this parade, and to my chagrin, it was a success that people loved the parade. In fact, there were times that people would actually, because the reviewing stand is always at Colfax and Broadway.
Yes.
And people would go down there and there wouldn't be a parade to watch. But so this year, and every year we swear, well, that's the last year, but this year, I read over the weekend about the history of the parade. And I was telling Billy, Jeff, that there used to be something called, and we got to bring it back. It was called the Ragamuffins Parade. And apparently adults got sick of the Ragamuffins. And so Macy's takes the parade on and eventually goes to television, and everybody knows that story. But I have, with the help of some really smart listeners and I just got off with the phone with Stephen Tubbs. He wants to be my Ed McMahon this year, but I think, and so the sarcasm and the biting sarcasm of the city or of the country, or I mean, the Trump victory is going to give a lot of floats and balloons, and of course the loss, Harris's loss will, and then all the insanity of Denver, Colorado, and the craziness of the media, and it's just fair game.
And the coolest thing about the imaginary Thanksgiving Day parade is that there are no sacred cows, and this is about skewering all of them and doing it to your best ability. This is where your creativity comes out, because we lean into listeners and guests about who's going to be, who's there, and you give us reports live as if you are there and you're reporting and you see all the activity that goes on, and you've got to describe your own float. You describe what happens there. It is fantastic. It's really good, and the listeners always help us out.
And always in the end of it, this year it'll be right before 10 o'clock.
Yes.
Santa Claus appears, and there's always a different Santa Claus every year. And I haven't cooked that one up yet, but the classic Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade was, with one exception, and you remember the year. And I do remember this, where the balloons got loose because of the high winds.
Yeah, they couldn't hang on to them. I don't remember what year it was, but all the balloons start floating around, and they couldn't. Yeah, because they couldn't hang on to them.
What are the odds that'll happen Thursday?
Oh yeah,
or Wednesday?
it'll definitely happen on this radio show.
Oh, it, and
because we're just full of hot air. It's just full hot air everywhere, and winds blowing.
You stole my line. You stole my line. But and Billy's worked the parade with me for years, and Casey before that, and so many people. I was telling Billy I was at the remembrance for Bill Husted last night. Now Billy's passed, and there was just a great gathering of all the old media guys in Denver, men and women, and a couple of people come up and they said, "Hey, Boyles, you going to do that stupid parade?" I said, "Absolutely."
Hell yeah.
And they said, make sure I mentioned. I said, "Yeah, I will." So we have a growing list of people that actually want to be in the parade and on the parade. And there's, by the way, there's plenty that don't. So they will be the ones that we will cheer from the sidelines. But
one of my favorite was the 2020 version, and it was post-election. You and I were doing it on the air, and the gimmick that year was that Dominion was trying to count the crowd. And so they kept coming back with different numbers over and over again the entire morning. And then sometimes the numbers were in Portuguese. Sometimes they were in Italian. So they're like, "What is this?" Yeah. It was fantastic. So yes, it is. You skewer everything. Oh yeah. And this is going to be Wednesday. Yeah. So Jeff is off. I'm going to be sitting back behind the microphone and behind the glass, helping out Pete on the other end, but doing most of the buttons and pushing. Pete's going to take the lead on this one, and he's going to be guiding this. I'll just chime in from time to time a little bit.
Well, Smartmatic and Dominion will be making many appearances.
Yes, they will.
And then a lot of talk show hosts there'll be a talk show host battalion.
Yes.
This thing has, I figure, hey, Billy, this might be the last year, but we say that every year.
Yeah, it is. So there's always that line of how many people we piss off too. Because if it gets too high, then
Well, we are getting a text message here from Iggy. He wants to know if we're going to be doing a Festivus show at any point and an airing of grievances.
We went through that.
But the Thanksgiving Day parade is kind of the Festivus in disguise, honestly, because you get to air your grievances if you do it through creativity. Yes, absolutely.
So what is Kamala Harris going to be doing in the parade? Does she have a role?
It's hard to know.
Yeah,
it could be walking behind the elephants with a broom.
Yes, because of course now she is unburdened by the stuff. So yes.
Her and Oprah making an appearance together. I mean, there's so many angles you could go on that.
Or better yet, Joe Biden in the parade, but he doesn't know where he is.
Yes.
Right. And then the white dudes for Harris. You got to find a role for them in the parade.
They're all going to be there. I mean, this is a don't miss, but as long as the mayor doesn't try and stop the parade with the Denver PD, it's one of my concerns.
Yes, we are worried about that.
I am worried about that. And he could easily put the cops out there and perform Tenement Square. And Tubbs is sending me nasty messages. So this is shaping up, boys. This could be a good one.
So this will be Wednesday. We'll check in with you tomorrow again, Pete, so we can remind everybody to start writing and getting their things. What are the things that have gotten you angry? What are the the social commentary, the political commentary that you haven't heard on radio, you haven't heard on TV, but this is your chance to express it through the creativity of a parade float, a marching band, a performance. Yes, whatever it is.
I think I'm when the cops lock up Eric for trying to sell those lousy burritos. I mean,
yeah, exactly. There's going to be a lot of stuff that's going to be going on. It's
a lot of things like that will show up. I love you both. The show sounds great. I'm so proud that you two guys are. I mean, after George had the show for the period that he did, but you guys are killing it. It's a good show, fellas.
We're having fun and appreciate guys like you, Pete.
Yeah, if you didn't blaze the trail, we got nothing to do, man. I appreciate you.
That's right.
We'll get even with them on Wednesday.
Yes, we will. We'll talk to you tomorrow, my friend. Have a great one.
Peter Boyles is going to be leading the special 710 KNUS Imaginary Thanksgiving Day Parade, starting Wednesday from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m.
Yeah,
so, lots of fun.
There are some great ones, and there are all sorts of local and national political leaders and commentators and just sports stars that have been skewered over the years, and I cannot wait to see who the victims are this year. This is going to be a lot of fun. That's going to be Wednesday. Pete's going to be the master of ceremonies for us. That's going to be wonderful.
Don't miss it. 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. on Wednesday. All right, let's go back to the phone lines. Fred Longmont. Good morning, Fred.
Morning, guys. How are you today?
Good. Hopefully you'll join us for the parade if you get a chance. But what's on your mind today, Fred?
I haven't missed the parade with Peter in years.
Excellent. Looking forward to your float if you call in. So, Fred, what's on your mind? What do you want to talk about this morning?
Well, a couple of things. I haven't heard anybody talk about this, but I happened to look up the RICO Act. Are you familiar with that?
Yeah, I mean, in passing, I'm not an expert on it.
I think Donald Trump is, right?
Yeah.
Nice one.
Well, they always said it was for racketeering for the mafia, but I'm not a lawyer, and as Peter would say, I had a mother and father. But the point being is that it has been expanded quite widely. And I think if the federal prosecutors really wanted to, they could go after the mayor, they could go after the governors, anybody who is running a sanctuary city or state. And I think if they just even arrested him and put him in jail, that might send a message.
That's interesting because you're right about the expansion of RICO, because that's how Fani Willis is getting all the fake electors under RICO charges in Georgia. Theirs is a little bit broader, but she brought charges against a school district as far as, pseudo coordination as far for them to try and skew standardized test scores. So, it's been stretched enough that you may have something there, Frank.
Well, according to what I read, and again, just briefly, it says anything to deal with organized crime. Well, isn't allowing these illegals to be in the country basically organized crime?
Yes.
Yeah, especially if you're turning a blind eye towards it and allowing it. There may be something there, man.
And I have something to offer Peter for the parade, if I could.
Please.
Okay, yeah.
Well, I think he ought to make Mike Johnston Miss Congeniality for the liberals.
Oh, that's a good one. There's got to be something. We've got to do something there. There's got to be the Mike Johnston has got to appear at the right time, at the right place. I'm kind of picturing that at some point or another, he's got to interrupt the parade. There's got to be some sort of interruption, and I don't know how he shows up or what he's going to do. The other one is that we got to figure out and this is all on Pete, is who Santa Claus is going to be, because that's another one. Yeah, who's the guy that's going to be Santa Claus this year?
Oh, that's the easy one. It's DJT with all the gifts he's going to give us as the next president of the United States, baby. Well, it's going to be like Christmas every morning.
As I was saying, I think somebody ought to really seriously look into RICO and see. And I think if some of these guys got arrested and at least slammed in jail for a while, it might be a wake-up call. And as far as this deal with Tiananmen Square, they ought to look up and see what the guy that stood in front of the tank, where he ended up. He disappeared.
Yeah, he did. They never found him, right?
Exactly. So otherwise, have a good day, guys.
All right. Hey, Fred Longmont, his line is open, 303-696-1971. Look, do you know a high school student passionate about engaging in cultural and political issues? The knowledge and skills needed to impact the world through civic engagement is an ever-increasing need in today's society. Colorado Christian University is at the forefront of meeting this crucial need, equipping the next generation of competent, convictional Christian leadership in American politics. CCU's degree program in politics with an emphasis in public policy prepares students for the complex challenges of modern politics from an unapologetically Christian and foundationally conservative worldview. In this distinct program, students learn how to impact public policy and advance Christian conservative ideas. Colorado Christian University also houses the Centennial Institute, a think tank committed to mobilizing ideas on faith, family, and freedom to strengthen America's future. CCU's mission to produce graduates who impact the world with grace and truth applies in no greater measure than to our politics and public policy program. Apply today at ccu.edu/apply. That's ccu.edu/apply. All right, coming up soon, Barb Kirkmeyer is going to join us because lawmakers grilled Colorado Secretary of State about possible security breach on Friday. She was on that panel. We're going to get the insight directly from State Senator Barb Kirkmeyer. Not going to want to miss it. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
Denver's talk leader, News Talk 710 KNUS.
At this hour, I'm Christina Wyo in Dallas, and here are your top stories. President Donald Trump's new border czar, Tom Homan, will be in the state of Texas this week, taking a look at the southern border and getting ready to launch his massive crackdown on illegal migrants. Governor Greg Abbott saying he's already started working with Homan and he's looking forward to the visit. Since 2021, Governor Abbott has been securing the southern border through Operation Lone Star and fighting the Biden-Harris administration in court, trying to keep American communities safe. Homan has indicated that he will take advantage of the 1,400 acres of land that have been offered by Texas to help in President Trump's mass deportation plan, which will focus first on deporting dangerous criminals like the 600-plus members of the violent Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua that have set up shop in at least 13 states across the nation. Homan also said he's ready to go to battle with sanctuary cities and states, reminding officials that harboring illegal migrants is a felony and warning them not to cross the line. American Airlines is making moves to stop people from cutting in line. In an apparent effort to reduce the headaches caused by airport line cutting, American has rolled out boarding technology that alerts gate agents with an audible sound if a passenger tries to scan a ticket ahead of their assigned group. The new software won't accept a boarding pass before the group it's assigned is called. So customers who get to the gate prematurely will be asked to go back and wait their turn. In Dallas, Christina Wyo, Salem News Channel.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. So Friday, lawmakers grilled Colorado Secretary of State Jenna Griswold at the state capitol about her handling of a possible security breach. This comes from CBS 4. Hundreds of passwords to election equipment were leaked days before Election Day and could have severely impacted half of Colorado's counties. The passwords were for voting equipment across the state. They were posted on the Colorado Secretary of State's website. There's still a lot of questions about what happened, which is why Griswold says she has hired an outside firm to investigate. The Denver District Attorney's Office is also looking into the leak to determine if a crime was committed. Now, Griswold, a Democrat, went before the Joint Budget Committee Friday to talk about funding, but members wanted answers about the leak. She told them she followed cybersecurity best practices when she learned of the situation and says there was never an immediate threat, but she admits she has some regrets. Well, gee willy, glad she has some regrets. Well, one of the Republicans on the Joint Budget Committee is State Senator Barb Kirkmeyer, great friend of the show. She joins us to give us some insight. Senator, thanks so much for taking time to join the Jeff and Bill Show.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
So let's talk about what happened on Friday. Give us your perspective.
Well, let me just say this to begin with. She totally missed her opportunity to do the right thing, which was admit there was a mistake, immediately tell all the clerks, the public, and the press, and then apologize. And then she could go figure out what went wrong and announce the results of the investigation that she's now doing. But now she has a bigger problem. She apologized, but it was like more than a week later, and it really didn't seem sincere or authentic. So to me, her response to this whole problem just constitutes a lack of confidence in her leadership and her ability to tell the truth. So when we were at the JBC, I asked her some questions like, why did it take her so long to tell the clerk? And her response back to me was she just read from her written statement again. I mean, I heard her written statement a few weeks ago. It hasn't changed very much from that very first interview that she had on TV. But you know what? Here's the thing. The same day she learned of the election security breach, the Colorado Secretary of State holds a press conference in Mesa County, or about Mesa County, about the ballot fraud scheme that was going on. She didn't appear to be worried about a media frenzy, which was her reason for telling her deputy not to tell the clerks. And so when I asked her, why didn't she tell the clerks? How long did she think it should take? She didn't bother to tell me that, she told her deputy not to tell the clerks. But then I asked her the question, like, you know what? If you weren't outed by an outside group, would you have ever told the clerks? Would you have ever told the public? And she said yes, which was a lie, because we all know the clerks have stated it several times, or some clerks have stated it and told me that she told her deputy. Her top deputy stated they were told not to tell anybody, not to tell the clerks. So what the heck? She's in here for a cover-up, but I mean, it looks just like she's trying to cover up her mistake, cover up a mistake made by someone, and now she just has a bigger problem. But the fact that she essentially lied to us at the Joint Budget Committee is extremely disconcerting. She said yes, she would have told the clerk, but her top deputy said nope, they never intended to notify them. She lied. She lied to us.
And it sounds like there's a lot of CYA coming from the Secretary of State's office in light of this, because in part, there's somebody in jail for leaking the passwords. So just having the passwords leaked themselves seems to be a crime in the state of Colorado. And she's being investigated by Denver. She's being investigated by, I believe, another county as well. They're looking into seeing if there could be criminal charges pressed here. Is that correct?
As far as I understand it, yes. The second judicial district attorney, who's from the Denver area, and the fourth judicial district attorney, who's from the El Paso area, are both investigating whether or not there was a crime created or committed. And, we need to let that investigation follow through and carry through, and let's see what comes out of it. But, the fact that she feels very comfortable not telling the public what was going on in an election, after we know how important election security is. I mean, my gosh, back in 22, a bill was passed about, election security and what was supposed to be happening. And I think that's where you're going to, and others have gone to, because, it talks in there. It was the Election Security Act in 22 in Colorado that was supposed to safeguard against potential insider threats to voting equipment and election systems. And there's a whole section in there, as you're talking about it, that talks about that if there was, the passwords were leaked, that's a felony. Now, she didn't leak the passwords herself, and she made it clear that one of her staff did that, and she made it sound like implied that she let them go. But I think the story is that the staff quit a couple months ago. They may have even retired, I'm not sure, but she tried to make it sound like, well, I did my due diligence, I fired that staff. And she didn't say it that way, but she implied that. And to me, the most disconcerting thing is she sat right there in front of us and just lied to our faces at the Joint Budget Committee. This is 6 members of the General Assembly who write the budget for the state of Colorado, and she felt no problem saying, yes, I would have told the clerk, after we already have statements from people that, what clerk said it was total BS. So,
and is that a crime in itself? It seems like if you go down to lie to Congress or the state House, state Senate, that should be punishable.
Well, I would say probably not.
Was she under oath in her testimony?
No.
Oh,
no.
okay. Gotcha.
Not that I'm aware of. But, the thing is, too, she sat there and said, oh, it's not a big issue. But, hey, I called Homeland Security. I was like, what? I mean, this woman needs to get her story right, but she called Homeland Security because it's not a big issue. Doesn't impose immediate threat, but at the same time, it's still a threat, but she didn't contact the clerk.
Now, Barb Kirkmeyer, State Senator, District 23, joining Jeff and Bill live, talking about the Joint Budget Committee meeting last week in which they brought Jenna Griswold in and asked her about the passwords being leaked. So you are saying to our audience that Jenna Griswold portrayed it as not a big deal, correct?
Correct. In fact, you can go back and listen to it. She said it wasn't a big issue.
Not a big issue. That's weird, because in my mind, when we have passwords that are available online that can be discovered, I would say that in the rankings, and maybe for our listeners and maybe for the average Colorado voter, that might rise a little higher than a dozen or 20 ballots that were fraudulently cast in Mesa County. The opportunity for bad actors to come in and mess with the Colorado voting system seems infinitely greater if you get access to a password than if you just submit a bunch of ballots that, given results in Mesa County, wouldn't have changed anything. But she thought it was a big enough deal for those fake ballots to go out and hold a press conference. She put out a press release. She told everybody about it. But the thing that she didn't think was a big deal were the access to the passwords. Again, that I just say that if that's how she feels, I think that our audience should evaluate how she views threats, how she views security inside that office, and also what her priorities are. Because she obviously pointed to us, the Colorado electorate, and said the whole fake ballot thing in Mesa County was a big deal. But yet access to passwords? Nothing to see here, boys. Nothing to see here. Move on.
Exactly. And I mean, the thing is, she did say it was not a big issue. I wrote it down. I'm like, what?
Wow.
I'm appalled, quite frankly. But she said, think about how many times she said it's not an immediate threat. But hey, I called Homeland Security. Well, if it wasn't an immediate threat, why are you calling Homeland Security?
So Senator Barb Kirkmeyer sits on the Joint Budget Committee. In light of this, in light of incompetence over and over and over again in her office, sending voter registration postcards to folks that are non-citizens, taking her press release comments directly from Planned Parenthood, all of these marks of incompetency. Do you believe that Jenna Griswold should resign?
Well, it's one thing to be incompetent, and I think she's going to have to look into herself as to whether she's going to resign. I think she needs to answer to the public. But I also think with regard, incompetence is one thing. Let's face it, there's probably some other incompetent elected officials out there. Or, maybe they don't really know what they're doing. I don't know, which is the same as being incompetent. So, but that's not necessarily a reason to resign. But if there was a law, a law that was violated, then that would be where she should resign. She shouldn't make people recall her, which would be very difficult to do, and she knows that. But, here's the thing. I want you to keep in mind what the state legislature, who is majority, is Democrat, what they have done. In a bill, I believe it was in 23 session, Senator Fenberg put in his elections bill that she couldn't campaign, essentially, use any of dollars to promote herself when she's up for election because of what she did, where she had commercials out promoting herself when she was up for election. This last session in the budget, when we were funding elections with general funds, so at the Joint Budget Committee, we put a footnote on the budget, which said specifically that she could only use the general fund monies towards elections and to reimburse election security and to reimburse the clerks. Hence, no more robocalls for Jenna Griswold. So that's what the legislature is doing to try and remedy some of the issues that we've been having with the Secretary of State and how she runs elections or how she conducts herself to elevate herself. And in the meantime, lets all the clerks be blindsided.
Talking with Barb Kirkmeyer, state senator. She sits on the Joint Budget Committee because that's where the power of that committee is, right? This was not an investigative committee. She's coming before you to ask for funds. The state legislature trying to rein her in a little bit. Talk about where you think funding's going to go for the Secretary of State's office.
Well, most of her funding for the Secretary of State's office is through business filing fees. Hence, that's why I was asking the questions, where did she get the money to hire an outside investigator? And apparently she's using business filing fees, which in the past she has wanted to say that we shouldn't be using them for things like this, things that are related to elections. The committee and the legislature, we have funded for the clerks to reimburse the clerks who actually run the elections. We use general fund for that. So I don't see that we're going to cut general fund money to the Secretary of State because that money is essentially a pass-through that is supposed to go to the clerks to reimburse them for running the elections. So it's really just more about a trust issue. And again, the fact that she feels very comfortable sitting there and lying to the Joint Budget Committee, 6 legislators, wow. And basically to me, it's just like she was trying to cover the whole thing up. If she could have, and if she thought she could have got away with it, if she wouldn't have been outed, she would have never told the clerk. She would have never told the public.
Wow. State Senator Barb Kirkmeyer, who sits on the Joint Budget Committee, following a bipartisan grilling, by the way, that took place on Friday. Just final question for you. What are you hearing from the good county clerks out there, those folks that really, as you mentioned, do run the election? What are they telling you about their frustrations with the Secretary of State?
I think we have all heard it, that, at first they were trying to kind of back her up, especially the Democrat clerks. But I think now there have been letters out there and comments back out there that, what she's been saying is not true, that she didn't have staff in the field for the issue. They were out doing normal Secretary of State audits that they're supposed to be doing. So again, another lie, that she keeps bringing up, that she had multiple federal agencies reviewing her website and protocols, and they didn't find this Excel spreadsheet because that's not what they were looking for. They were just doing testing. So they're challenging her comments as well now. And basically when I was asking those questions, I was getting text messages from a few clerks. I don't want to say their name because they have to continue to work with the Secretary of State, but they're like, no, she told us. We were told by her chief deputy that she was never intending to tell us. So they're pretty upset. They're ticked off. And I think they've got severe trust issues. And how about character issues with the Secretary of State? So that's what I'm hearing from the clerks. Here's the thing, I know the headline would say we were grilling her. I really felt like it was mostly me. It's like, I don't think the Democrats on the committee really were asking her any questions that were drilling down into what the issue is here and why didn't she tell the public and why didn't she contact the clerks? And where was the money coming from for the outside investigation? Those were all my questions. The Democrats, other than what we've done in legislation over the course of the last 2 years, have been pretty quiet, including, I mean, except for the governor did finally step up, a day or two later, and flew around the state to get passwords changed. But the Democrats, though, including the Attorney General, have all been pretty silent on this. Because remember with the Mesa case where the fraudulent ballots were submitted, he was right there. I mean, he put out a tweet saying, yeah, I'm supporting the DA, you know, and looking into this, and I'm here for this support. And I just haven't really heard too much from our Attorney General, who's supposed to be protecting a state and upholding the rule of law. I mean, why isn't he investigating it?
Great questions. And Senator Kirkmeyer, we're so grateful for you. If you want to follow Senator Barb Kirkmeyer, you can on X at Sen Kirkmeyer. That's SENKIRKMEYER. Senator, thanks so much for the grilling, for holding our elected officials accountable, for representing the people of Colorado so well, and taking time to join us today on the Jeff and Bill Show.
Hey, thank you very much. Appreciate the opportunity. And let's just hold everybody accountable.
That's right. That's right. Have a happy Thanksgiving as well.
Thanksgiving.
All right. We'll continue with the Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's talk leader, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Let's go to the phone lines. Jay, Denver. Good morning, Jay.
Morning. Good to hear everybody laughing about the period. That's the best way to cure all of the things we've been through for the last 4 years.
That's exactly true. Did you see the line? There's a headline that inflation has been worse in Colorado than the rest of the nation. Gosh. Yeah, no, we need to laugh a little bit about it. Go ahead. What's on your mind, Jay?
Every Sunday morning guest, which I love to watch, not really, they all mention Denver. They all mention Denver. Every single one. ABC, NBC, CBS.
Yep. I think it started with pot, but that's just my own thoughts.
2012, when they put it in. I remember well, and I was so sad. I wanted to laugh a little bit about your mayor. So the mayor is responsible for tearing down, and Billy has photos of 1150 East Colfax. Used to be the Raimondo Wyndham Hotel. It's a city block. It was. They knocked it down, and they put in a horrible building. So if you Google 1150 East Colfax, used to be the Raimondo Wyndham. It used to be a nice place with a pool and a restaurant and everything. And the mayor is responsible for tearing it down and taking it away from the owner. And now it's a awful building that they house people in, right there in East Colfax, right along your Parade Way.
Yeah, and I think that's happening all throughout the city as they do their special projects. So you got bike lanes and homeless hotels. What a win. That's a city I want to go to.
So as a gag, because they took it away from us, I want to have my friend that owns Wazi Crane for your parade thing. Just put a crane in the corner of Downey and Colfax, a big old crane, wrecking ball with wrecking crews and the cones and everything, and just freak the mayor out, because we'll pretend like we're going to knock the building down again. The one that he knocked down is ours. We're going to pretend to knock the new one down.
That's
Not
great.
Really. I'm just joking.
That's one for you, Bill. That's the one for the parade tomorrow.
that is a good one.
That's great, Jay. Or Wednesday. Be sure to tune into that Pete
thanks,
Boyles parade on Wednesday. Well, great conversation with Barb Kirkmeyer. Coming up next, we're going to talk with Amy Stevens about what's happening in Colorado Springs and this mayor possibly coordinating, maybe at least talking to people that faked a hate crime.
This is crazy.
Oh boy, this story is wild. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
We are Denver's talk leader, News Talk 710 KNUS.
It is 8 a.m. in the Mile High City on this Monday, November 25th. Good morning, Denver, Colorado. You've tuned into the Jeff and Bill Show. A very special Thanksgiving week broadcast taking place. I imagine many of you out there are running errands, getting ready to have family over. Maybe you're heading to the airport, you're traveling. Maybe you're new to the city of Denver because you're coming in to visit family. Welcome to the Jeff and Bill Show on News Talk 710 KNUS. I'm your co-host, Jeff Hunt, along with Bill Thorpe, doing our very best to bring you the freshest insights, hottest takes from the right, left, and center. Just wrapped up a great conversation with Barb Kirkmeyer, by the way. That'll make some news.
Yeah, that will.
Yeah.
Yeah. As far as Jenna's non-responses and where she's getting money
and
from.
lying and money and all that stuff. So we'll clip that, have it up on the X account, but you're definitely going to want to check that out on 710knus.com. And coming up in just a few minutes, Amy Stevens is going to join us, the former state representative, on what's happening down in Colorado Springs. And I'll lay out this scenario for you because it's pretty wild. Basically, 3 people that are part of a nonprofit media organization decided to fake some hate crimes. They are black activists, and they went themselves and wrote the N-word on Mayor Yemi's signs. Mobilade, I think that's how you pronounce his last name.
Yeah, I'm going to leave that one to you.
Yemi Mobilade.
I can't.
So he's the Colorado Springs mayor using a runoff against Wayne Williams. And these 3 activists went and faked hate crimes. So they sprayed the N-word, and then they took a cross and they lit the cross on fire, and then they videotaped it. Then they created fake Gmail accounts, sent it to all the Colorado Springs media, who, like on cue, lapped it all up and said Colorado Springs and its history of KKK is a hate place, and they're trying to intimidate the mayor, this candidate from running for mayor, the first black mayor that Colorado Springs could ever have. Well, the FBI discovered that this was a hoax, that this was put together by 3 black activists to, in an effort, try to help the black candidate by making it look like there's these hate crimes being implemented against him. Well, in their investigations, they found that these 3 activists were communicating with the mayor during this time. And not just being like, hey, how's the weather? Or what do you want for Christmas? Or anything like that. It was, you're never going to guess what's going to happen. We got you covered. Don't worry. We're going to take on the KKK. Statements that essentially show that they were hinting towards the mayor that they were going to do something to help him. But what's wild is we only have one side of the text messages. The FBI,
that's weird,
in their complaint, don't show the mayor's responses in this. And the Daily Wire has an article out headlined, "Mayor Lied in Hate Crime Hoax Probe, but DOJ refused to charge him." So in the investigations, they go and interview him 3 times. The FBI interviews the mayor of Colorado 3 times. And in one of those cases, he kind of lies to the fact that, oh, yeah, I haven't been getting many messages from this group, and kind of skipped over. While the FBI was sitting there looking at his cell phone, text messages he had received from these 3 individuals. So, question, was the mayor of Colorado Springs, Yemi Mobilade, aware of what these 3 activists were doing? Possibly working with them? We don't have any indication.
Yeah, it's one of those
from the FBI.
It's one of those things about how much did he know and when did he know?
Yes.
And the weird part is, given the conversations, the one side that we do have, it is very open-ended. It can lead you to believe that he knew what they were doing. But it also could lead you to believe, because, of course, they're not outlining, hey, wait until we light this on fire, or which sign do you want us to write the N-word on? That's not that specific.
Right.
So that's what we really got to know is, what were the conversations from the mayor on the other side? What was he saying to them? Thanks for your help. I hope it works. Let me know when you're done. Boy, this is a lot of blood. I need someone to help me move the body. What was it? That's what we got to know.
And then you have text messages from those three sending links to government jobs, hinting that there may be a return in favor for what they did. But the Daily Wire gets even crazier on the story. The FBI referred Colorado Springs Mayor Yemi Mobolade for prosecution for making false statements related to a hate crime hoax intended to boost its candidacy. But this is a big one too. But the Department of Justice refused to pursue it for racial and political reasons, an FBI official has told the Daily Wire. On November 12th, the acting U.S. attorney for the District of Colorado announced that 3 of the supporters have been charged with writing the N-word on one of the campaign signs, erecting a burning cross, and sending a video spectacle to news media. By the way, that's a whole sub-story about how news media is just like, yes, look what's happening, straight up onto the air, as opposed to like any form of investigations or questioning or anything like that. But this was an effort to turn out the black vote for Mobolade, an African immigrant. Mobolade, a left-wing candidate, which Daily Wire stretches out a little bit. He's not crazy progressive, but he's definitely not a conservative. Went on to defeat Wayne Williams. So the question was, why did the DOJ choose not to pursue these charges? Why was he interviewed 3 times? What did he know? When did he know it? Was there a concerted effort between these 3 activists and the mayor to turn out the black vote using fake hate crimes? All of this, I didn't think needs to be further investigated. We're going to talk to Amy Stevens from Colorado Springs about what she's hearing down there in a minute. You're not going to want to miss it. But first, news and comment with Blake Olson. Good morning, Blake.
Good morning. There's a receipt for the spray paint somewhere along the way with those guys in the Springs. Who knows? Need to think about Jesse Smollett before you get going too much on that media in Colorado Springs. 30 and partly cloudy in Denver, expecting a high of 48 today. The 7-10 5-day forecast coming up. Our top story. A record number of Americans planning to travel over the Thanksgiving holiday. AAA expects nearly 80 million people will drive and fly between Tuesday, November 26th and Monday, December 2nd. That's about 1.7 million more than last year. American Airlines is gearing up to handle more than 8 million passengers from November 21st to December 3rd. Southwest says it expects Sunday, December 1st to be its busiest day as more holiday travelers head home. The FAA says things could slow down during peak travel times because of staff issues. The area that could most be impacted is the Northeast, especially New York, because of a shortage of air traffic controllers. State Senator Barb Kirkmeyer on Last Hour with Jeff and Billy discussing Secretary of State Jenna Griswold and the Joint Budget Committee meeting where members wanted to know more about those passwords that were leaked. Where is the accountability? Kirkmeyer questions her sincerity. Wrong one. Holiday
Immediately
Road.
tell all the clerks, the public, and the press, and then apologize. And then she could go figure out what went wrong and announce the results of the investigation that she's now doing. But now she has a bigger problem. She apologized, but it was like more than a week later, and it really didn't seem sincere or authentic. To me, her response to this whole problem just constitutes a lack of confidence in her leadership and her ability to tell the truth.
Senator Rand Paul from Kentucky says Denver Mayor Mike Johnston needs to think twice about preventing deportations in the city.
The mayor of Denver, if he's going to resist federal law, which there's a long-standing history of the supremacy of federal law, if he's going to resist that, it will go all the way to the Supreme Court. And I would suspect that he would be removed from office. I don't know whether or not there'd be a criminal prosecution for someone resisting federal law, but he will lose. And people need to realize that what he is offering is a form of insurrection where the states resist the federal government. Most people objected to that and rejected that long ago. So I think the mayor of Denver is on the wrong side of history and really, I think, will face legal ramifications if he doesn't obey the federal law.
And the great Peter Boyles also concerned that Johnston may try to stop the Peter Boyles Thanksgiving radio parade that you could hear only right here on KNUS Wednesday morning from 6 to 10.
The Venezuelan marching band, they're going to be appearing this year.
Oh, excellent.
From TDA.
That's great.
But I am worried about the mayor trying to stop the parade this year. He's never done that, but he's going to put the cops out there so the Venezuelans can march.
And, I wish the gaggle of parade clowns packed into and driving the Kamala Khan cackle car would show up, but I think it's going to be in New York City for Macy's. But, hey, you never know. Hey, maybe, how about a huge Jennifer Rubin float? Maybe that would be cool. That may show up. Her huge eyeballs and animated pie hole, a fan favorite, sponsored by the Washington Post.
Because many of these people, including Tulsi Gabbard, have backgrounds that would never make them eligible for any government post, let alone for secretaries of these important government agencies. But I do think there are a couple things going on. First, I have to comment, when you put up all those faces, it was 1,000 shades of white. Have you noticed that? Remember?
I actually thought as I was reading them.
Yes, exactly. So here we have a little bit more diversity in the slide that you're showing. But the first one, which was the major characters, yes, it's 1,000 shades of white.
She may be my number one right now at the top of the list.
Aren't the former Republicans who just become crazy progressives? Not just like Bill Kristol. I was reading some of his tweets today too. It's not like they're, well, gee golly, maybe we'll get the party of Reagan back, that type of thing. No, they have like jumped both feet into the progressive pool.
They are nutters, man.
Yes.
No, I agree with you. And they look like him too. I mean,
have you seen that meme? Have you seen that meme on the progression of who's on MSNBC? Who's that lady?
No.
Oh gosh.
Now
why am I forgetting her name?
Anyone on
Yes, Rachel Maddow. Thank you.
Rachel, thank you.
The progression of Rachel Maddow from like a cute blonde when she was in high school,
really,
all the way. Oh, you've never seen those pictures?
No, I've never seen those.
So it's a meme that follows her progression, and then it ends right. So she chops off her hair, and then she becomes a total lib, and then gets the glasses, and then it ends with Mark Cuban. So
that is awesome. I gotta check that out. I haven't seen that one. That's great. Oh man, he does look like her. And she looks like him.
I'll end up with short hair with the thick black rimmed glasses.
Yeah, where did they get those glasses? It's got to be a special
progressive store. That's like when you reach the final level of total crazy lib, you get the short black hair and the black rimmed glasses.
I've got to check that out. She was crying again over the weekend on the air. I don't know if you saw that.
That's because Elon Musk's about to be her boss.
Oh, that's what it was. Yeah, she was crying when she saw that headline. I got to find that. Oh, my
How
this
sweet!
Stuff is great.
How sweet! I mean, it's like there are moments where I wake up and I'm like, "Is this real?" Like I can't believe.
Same here.
Conservatives and Donald Trump and MAGA has so much power, and they're putting these people into office, and the libs can't do anything about it. And then MSNBC and CNN are failing, and now they've got to be sold. And
and then I'm so happy, and then Billy ruins my day. And then he brings me down. He turns down the temperature. Billy said, "You're welcome." Hey, DJT expected to kick transgender troops out of the U.S. military as early as January 20th, according to a new report from the Times. The move would remove about 15,000 transgender active service members. Hello.
Second down 9. He's going deep to the end zone. Sutton caught. Touchdown. Cortland Sutton as he beats Jack Jones.
Hey, how about the Broncos? They beat the Raiders 29-19, and Cortland Sutton caught 8 passes, 97 yards, 2 touchdowns. Bo Nix, 273 yards passing and 2 touchdowns. 27 in Arvada, 29 in Glendale, and 30 in Denver. Jeff and Billy continue. It's Monday morning. Blake Olson, News Talk 710, KNUS.
Thanksgiving week starts off with fair, dry weather today, but we're going to see some weather move in late tomorrow and Wednesday. Sunny, temperatures in the 40s, lows tonight, upper 20s. Increasingly cloudy Tuesday, highs upper 40s with a chance of a snow or rain shower developing during the day. Snow showers Tuesday night, lower 30s. Snow showers likely in colder Wednesday, highs 30s. Weather sponsored by Colorado's Best Roofing, reminding you to protect your home from the harsh Colorado weather and schedule your free, no-obligation roof inspection today at roofingcolorado.com. That's roofingcolorado.com. Meteorologist Don Day in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
Well, welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. So we talked about the top of the hour. Mayor lied in hate crime hoax probe, but DOJ refused to charge him. This wild story that happened down in Colorado Springs, it's not getting nearly the media attention it should for a number of reasons. The people of Colorado Springs are good people. This idea that there's this racist KKK element that wants to try to stop a mayor simply because he was black, and these progressive activists that fed into it, stirred it, and then tried to, blame the good people of Colorado Springs for this is just not right. That's one element. Two, the fact that the media just lapped this up. These folks these three activists staged that fake hate crime, sent it out to the media. Oh my goodness. And they just put it right up on there and ran with it there. And then you have all the questions swirling about how much did the mayor know? We haven't seen his text messages. Was he colluding? Was he not? Was it just people just in his world? We just don't know that. And if the Daily Wire is right, the FBI did refer Colorado Springs Mayor Yemi Mobolade for prosecution, but the Department of Justice refused to pursue it for racial and political reasons. That's a scandal in itself. So there's a lot more to dig into, to try to understand here. But joining us, one of my absolute favorite people from Colorado Springs is Amy Stevens, former state representative. Thanks so much for being on the Jeff and Bill Show, Amy.
Yeah, good morning.
Hey, thank you. Good morning.
So give us a sense of what's going on in Colorado Springs. We talked about the story, but what are the reactions down there? Have you heard from Wayne Williams? He was the one running against mayor down there, Yemi. Can you give us a sense from Colorado Springs how people are reacting to this story?
I think people are a bit shocked. I think it's exactly as you've said. There's a quiet. It's an unsettling quiet. And I think because, really, how good is this for PR when you want companies? So the economic development just gave out, I think, $380-something million over a 7-year period on tax incentives, like come to Colorado Springs. So you have to kind of look at, hey, come to Colorado Springs where our mayor is in cahoots with a career criminal sentenced to 32 months for attempting to kill 2 police officers. Now he's just been arrested again because they think he killed a rapper who disrespected him. Okay, that's not good press. That's not good press. But I think it even goes deeper. Yemi's campaign was absolutely run by progressives, but also, I would say, by DEI evangelicals. If you read Megan Basham's book on Shepherds for Sale, I think you had a lot of that going on. I think evangelical capital Colorado Springs is in a period of some self-reflection. And I think people are just sitting back going, oh my goodness. If this is really true, and then you have a Biden DOJ with a Biden U.S. attorney that said, we can't do this. We can't actually hold up the law here. God forbid. We can't do that. I mean, he's going to be the first black mayor. And, all of this, it goes back to what people voted out. And that is, we are sick of you covering for criminal behavior. And we are tired of you telling us how to live. And there is no doubt that this little staged incident boosted him a bit. The idea was to get out more of the black vote or more of the progressive vote. And I think Wayne also had his own detractors within probably Republican circles, where that just, put him at a disadvantage. And listen, Yemi is a very attractive candidate. They ran his campaign, Jeff, like a presidential campaign. I mean, it was very well executed.
We're talking with Amy Stevens, former state representative. She lives down in Colorado Springs, about the fact that the FBI, according to the Daily Wire, referred Colorado Springs Mayor Yemi Mobolade for prosecution for making false statements related to a hate crime hoax intended to boost his candidacy, but the Department of Justice refused to pursue it for racial and political reasons. So we've given folks an oversight. I think there needs to be more investigation, but who's going to do the investigating? I mean, Phil Weiser? Nah, he's not going to show up. I mean, Jared Polis isn't going to call for an investigation. Is this something that the DA down there could look into from your perspective?
And, because this is a federal issue, I think hands are tied. I mean, you and I know George Brockler, DA, has said, wow, this is big. This is serious. But I think it's all going to fall back to U.S. attorney. I mean, it really is a U.S. attorney when FBI refers something to the DOJ and you have it as a federal issue. Now, in a month, we're going to see a changeover. We're going to see, probably a month and a half, we're going to see a new U.S. attorney appointed. And I don't believe a statute of limitations is going to run out on this issue because this guy, the career criminal that the mayor was consorting with, he's going to be up for trial. This is going to bring it all up again. The idea that this current U.S. attorney was not honest about his press release that said, no, this career criminal just was texting with his two compadres. No, this guy was texting with the mayor, and they have it. They have the text messages. I think in the meantime, you have to call for more sunshine, right?
But
right. You've got Polis protecting his corrupt Secretary of State. God knows why she still, has a job. There's been many a call for her to be gone. He's not going to do that. He had a hand and was directly very supportive of Yemi's candidacy. You're not going to see him move 1 inch. We have the holidays where people are like, oh, please, they're off on their business. And I don't think until we change hands and get a non-corrupt, as you know, Doge and other things are going to really go barrel into DOJ. That's top of the list. I think not until you get a new U.S. attorney is anything going to happen.
Talking with Amy Stevens, former state representative. So, Amy, let's talk about Colorado Springs. I remember when Colorado Springs was the powerhouse, and you used to work for Focus on the Family too. And it was this great center of gravity for social conservative thought and engagement and influence and culture. And, like Colorado, it's shifted. Maybe I want to get your thoughts on this because of demographics and people moving in, that type of thing. But what's happened? What's going on with Colorado Springs? Its influence, its conservative leadership in our culture. Give us your insights.
Well, I think it's a lesson. Colorado Springs is a great city. Make no mistake about this. We've got wonderful people working within economic development. People are flocking here, Jeff, and where are they fleeing from? They're fleeing from Denver. Where? Why? Because of crime, okay? They're coming down into my area of Monument. They're buying up homes left and right to put their kids in safe schools. They love, they can do the commute close to I-25, go up to Denver, do your job, come back down. I mean, listen, we have no shortage here of people wanting to be here, and it's why Colorado Springs has become really the largest county in all of the state. I mean, there's no doubt about that. But internally, I think if you've not read Megan Basham's book on Shepherds for Sales, everybody should read it because it talks about this kind of DEI, a lot of this kind of stuff that has come into the Springs, sadly through the church. But on the other hand, progressives have targeted Colorado Springs to become blue. When you've got Hillary Clinton's regional director moving to the Springs and saying, I'm here to make this place blue. And by the way, working it like no one's business. He just wrote a book about it, by the way. Then you've got forces at work. And if you have a Republican Party that's infighting with leaders themselves, in my mind, you and I can agree to disagree, but suspect leaders within our own party who are not doing what they should do to unite us and keep us strong, we've got trouble. And so it's rife then for something like this to happen. And I think Colorado Springs, perhaps this could be a self-reflection time. It used to be Evangelical Center. I believe it still is. You still have, look at Jeff Crank's victory for CD5.
That's right.
I mean, there's still a strong hold. But I'm just saying there have been a number of factors, particularly over the last 10 years, that have put some cracks into the city, I think.
Yeah, and talking to Amy Stevens, former state representative, Megan Basham's book, Shepherds for Sale, is fantastic because what she details in that book is essentially the stalwarts of the evangelical movement, places like Christianity Today and others, started to lose revenue as they became more kind of moderate, and then had to backfill their revenue with grants from progressive organizations. And when that happens, when you're getting money from those liberal organizations, you don't necessarily want to challenge them because you're not going to bite the hand that feeds you. And that's why you've seen CT and others just go way progressive, become anti-Trump, anti-MAGA, that type of thing. And it's almost kind of confusing. You're like, really? The magazine that Billy Graham started all of a sudden, is like touting progressive ideas. So she details where all the funding's coming from. And they infiltrated. It was very specific and it was very intentional to take out some of the most powerful evangelical organizations in order to weaken their influence. And now that's where we are.
Weakening. That's, I think, Jeff, the weakening of influence is exactly where we're at. And I mean, we have a woman here in Colorado Springs, formerly worked at Focus, literally bringing the fruit baskets to the border, right? Because she is a DEI and, someone who supports this border crossing. And you have to go, what? And so we have it going on here. And I think the weakening is that. On the other side of that coin, do we want a black mayor? I don't know how Martin Luther King got tossed out the window the last couple of years, but he has been, where it's not about the color of your skin, it's the content of your character and merit-based, okay? Merit-based. And so do I want a black mayor? Absolutely. A character-based, wonderful person, yes. And we want all tides to rise. But you see, I think people have been so scared and kind of bullied into silence over DEI that they're afraid to say, hey, maybe we should actually carry out the law. Like maybe we should carry it out, and we don't care if it's the first woman this or the first whoever, but the law is the law, and we must abide by it. I think people are bullied into silence. I think that's what's happening here. I think they're afraid, and it's a shame. It is a shame because we want, we want every race to be here, and we want to embrace all that is beautiful about Colorado Springs. And
I think that was what was frustrating about this is if you know people that live and work down there, it's a great community. And you had three activists that sought to portray Colorado Springs as a racist place. It was all made up. It was all fake. It was a lie about the people of Colorado Springs. And then I want to ask you about this. Amy Stevens, former state representative, the media just ate this up. These guys went and created a fake email account. They stood outside of I think it was a mall, used the free Wi-Fi there, created a fake email account, sent it to Colorado Springs media, and Colorado Springs media just ran with it. No investigation, no analysis. Is this the people of Colorado Springs? Does this adequately reflect the people that we serve? This fake hate crime was just promoted out there. Give folks a sense of what happened around the mayor's race and how the media just helped promote this fake story.
I think the idea of first black mayor took hold because remember, newsrooms are DEI too. Okay, they're a centerpiece for DEI. So I actually think, and again, I'm going to tell you how his campaign was run was flawless. I'm going to tell you it was run like a presidential campaign. And so around this time, by the way, there were some other things. This is why I call it the Jussie Smollett hoax because Jussie Smollett out of Chicago, right, did a whole hoax about MAGA getting beat up with, two guys wearing MAGA hats. It's very similar, these hoaxes. And so, yes, they gravitated toward it. Yes, because Yemi is a very likable guy. I mean, if you were doing the checkbox on campaign people, I mean, he fits a lot of boxes. And so no one wanted, I think, again, it's what you want to see, right? And no one really wanted to go, oh my goodness. In fact, it was so easy to believe that hoax because you wanted him as mayor that you just fell for it hook, line, and sinker. If you have newsrooms and other media run on the basis of DEI, which you and I saw this last campaign nationally, yeah, they're going to go for it. They're going to fall for it. Now, the question's going to be, KRDO has actually covered a little bit of this. What's going to happen between now and January? Are they going to keep calling? Are they going to keep asking for sunshine? I don't know. I think you'll have people still calling for it, but it's not until you get a change of leadership that the sunshine over these text messages and the cahoots, which there's no doubt he cahooted with a guy, who's a career criminal before, during it, and after. That's indisputable. It's just, what did they say? And what did he know?
And
what do you want to believe?
Can the city council hold the mayor accountable? Can they ask questions? Is there a route that direction to be able to go and get the details here?
Yeah, I think there is, and I think you will see it. I think there'll be at least a call for sunshine. Again, he's a strong mayor. We're in strong mayor here. If the mayor's ever removed, by the way, the head of the city council, which currently is Randy Helms, he would be the new mayor. I think you're going to see a lot of activity around that because it's politics. And my hope is we continue to see good people ask good questions. And I believe that will continue to happen. I think it's happening now. But again, if you have a DOJ that says, no, can't do that, can't release it, your hands are kind of tied too. So we, you, me, others, have to keep asking for sunshine, have to keep asking for it.
Well, this is really easy to solve. The mayor of Colorado Springs just needs to release the text messages, right? If there's nothing there between him and those three people that committed a fake hate crime, then there's nothing there. And everybody moves on and you go, okay, well, I see why the FBI didn't charge. On the Pete Hegseth, you have the report. You can read the report. You can look through the different text messages. I've read the 22-page report. So people want sunshine. They want to see what is going on with people that either could be confirmed or are current mayors, or is the Secretary of State, Barb Kirkmeyer, was on the last hour saying the exact same thing. We just want to know what's happening. The people of Colorado deserve to know the truth, especially as it relates to their elected officials. That's all that I think the people of Colorado Springs are calling for. Well, Amy Stevens, former state representative, down, active still in politics in Colorado Springs, thank you so much for providing this analysis and joining the Jeff and Bill Show.
Hey, thank you. Always good to talk to you.
Wish you a very Merry Thanksgiving. Thanks again, Amy Stevens.
Take care. Bye-bye.
I think I combined holidays there.
I think
Happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
But you could be merry on Thanksgiving.
I was doing some stuff behind the scenes there. I couldn't. Yeah. There's something, and I didn't want to. There's some things with, when she was talking about, the DEI and some things in the newsroom. That was interesting, but not the discussion we were, needed to have today.
Well, I mean,
that's for another day.
The question, and it's a fair question, why did the media run with this so easily, right? And if you look at the police report, basically what they did was they copied and pasted DEI paragraphs from other works and then put together this email that said, as a concerned Colorado Springs citizen, this type of intimidation is happening in our elections in an effort to keep people of color from having political office, that type of thing. And then they included this video and images and all that stuff. And I just think as a newsroom, you get that stuff and you're like, like look into it a little bit, ask how they got the video. How did they get the pictures of this burning cross in front of a Yemi Mobolade yard sign with the N-word spray painted on it? and they didn't really do any of that, and they just ran out. But that's a secondary issue. That's a tertiary issue compared to the fact that there are text messages at the time that these fake hoaxes were taking place. That's redundant. These hoaxes were taking place. These fake hate crimes that you have the mayor at least talking with the three people who did this, and we don't have his messages back, even though Daily Wire reporting that the FBI referred Colorado Springs Mayor Yemi Mobolade for prosecution. So there's something there, and I think the people of Colorado Springs definitely deserve to see it. All right, we'll get to your phone calls and texts. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
We are Denver's talk leader, News Talk 710 KNUS.
At this hour, I'm Christina Wyo in Dallas, and here are your top stories.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Let's go to the phone lines. Oh, great friend of the show, Robin Carnes, is joining.
Hey, good morning,
Robin.
Well, hi, Jeff and Bill. Hey, I was so excited that you took my call because we are heading to Iowa on Thanksgiving break. We're going to see my family, and I was so engaged with the topics that you were discussing this morning. Let's just call it the Griswold gate, right? Everything that's happened with our Secretary of State, and then even with what's going on down in Colorado Springs. It was so great to hear Amy Stevens and her perspective. And what you guys do so well is you create such engaging content, and I just could not help but want to lean in. My kids are wanting to talk to me, and I'm like, be quiet. I want to hear what they're going to have to say. And so I wanted to call in and weigh in, post election if I can.
Please.
On both of these, both
do.
of these topics. Both of these topics they need to be so near and dear to Coloradans, because if you think about it, work for the people. And the minute that's reversed, the minute that the government starts, whether it's local, state, or federal, starts doing things in secret, it's a really, really dreary day. So that whole sunshine concept, we are one of the sunniest states around. Let's let the sun in, let's shine bright. And what I see happening is since the election where Donald Trump is now our incoming president, there has been so much exposure. His job has been to peel back the layers and expose, which really started in his administration, and it now just continues. And, we call him the wrecking ball to political correctness, which is, I think, why he was so popular and still is. And we see that it starts at the head and then it trickles down. And I believe it's what we're seeing then here in the state, so specifically in Colorado.
Yeah, there's a lot of questions out there. Like, why hasn't Jared Polis been more vocal? Phil Weiser been more vocal about Jenna Griswold? Maybe they're just saying, well, we're going to let the Denver DA do the investigation, that type of thing. But they seem to have no problem jumping out on the media. In fact, I was just looking at a tweet from Phil Weiser. He's out on ABC talking about how he's going to protect the rule of law with regards to mass deportation. So, they're willing to go out there when they're Republicans, but when they're fellow Democrats, we're going to let the investigation play itself out.
Sure. But you know what? Still, let's leave party aside. As an elected official, you need to lead. And you need to lead well and honor the people who put you in that position. I love this saying, people who have nothing to hide nothing. So they should be at the helm of at least getting to the truth. Now, we're going to leave it at that. There may be evidence to support, what many of us are leaning in going, could this be true or not? But at least honor the people who put you in that position and do some due diligence, so that the truth can actually be found.
Well, Robin Carnes, I want to take a moment here because it's fun to watch you jump right back into it. I know the election was tough. And, some folks go, well, maybe this thing isn't for me, but it seems like good governance is so core to who you are that you're willing to jump right back into it. Can you give us a little analysis? We haven't talked since your state Senate race. Tell us kind of how, well, let's do first what happened, but how you're feeling, what you're thinking, next steps, those types of things.
Okay. Well, thanks for actually asking the question. We lost by about 4%, which was unbelievable. When you look at the odds that were kind of against me, I went after a pretty well-established incumbent. He outraised me 3-1. Plus he had oodles of dark money supporting him, which I didn't. And again, the money plays a major role. But when you consider, it's kind of funny, I had a call from I had a call from the article from a newspaper that like within 2 days after the election, and they said, would you want to give a comment? And I said, I do. And truth be told, I did call Senator Coker. It went to voicemail. I congratulated him. I said it was an interesting race. I said, you know, all I can say is that Iowa was well represented because I'm from Northwest Iowa. He's from the east side of Iowa. You know, gave him my best to him and his wife and his children. Still have not heard back, which is fine. But, you know, took the high road. And I tell you what, I woke up the very next day with such joy. And the reason, besides the national results, I think we all had a skip in our step because of it. But I had such joy because he should have kicked my tail. He absolutely should have beat me by a long shot, and he didn't. And so I woke up going, oh, I'm kind of embarrassed going to the grocery store. People are going to look at me and go, oh, she lost. But on the flip side, no, I won. 48% of the people of Senate District 16 voted for me.
Well, and I think the money, Robin, the money spent against you is an indication of how much they feared your not just leadership in the state Senate, but your future. Do you have the ability to stick around real quick? We got to get to a break here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
We're going to continue. She's just calling in. This wasn't scheduled. It's great. Robin Carnes. Look, I want to talk to you about my good friend, Dan Caplis and Dan Caplis Law. I've known Dan for well over a decade. This guy's pro-life, pro-family, pro-America. That matters because who you choose to represent you in an injury case says a lot about you to everyone involved in the case. You choose somebody that's kind of got a rough reputation. Well, they're going to perceive you that same way. You want somebody with a sterling reputation. That's Dan Caplis. But more than just being a great guy, he's a real winner in the courtroom. Dan is believed to be the only lawyer in Colorado history to win 5 straight multi-million-dollar verdicts in Colorado crash cases. Dan is also believed to have won the largest truck crash verdict in Colorado history. Dan Caplis Law is the official law firm partner of the Denver Nuggets and the Colorado Avalanche, a serious firm for serious cases. And you might be saying to yourself, I can't afford a guy like that. Well, Dan, in big part because of his faith, accepts righteous injury cases on a percentage fee basis. He wants to help people. So it doesn't matter what kind of background you have. He wants to help good people from all walks of life. So if you need Dan's help, give him a call. Here's his phone number, 303-770-5551, or hit dancaplisLaw.com. That's Dan, CAPLIS Law.com. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
Denver's talk leader, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. So joining us, she's on her way to visit family out in Iowa. So surprise call-in. Always great to hear from Robin Carnes. Now, Robin, we only got about a minute left. What's next for you?
Okay, well, I'm still on Centennial City Council. I've got a year left to serve my first term. I will most likely run for a second term. But right now, it's all about raising money. I've got to make some money. I'm in real estate, right? Robin's Nest real estate, because if we're going to stay in politics, we've got to have the money. So I'm focused on that. I'm focused on continuing to serve Centennial. And then we've got to build a bench. We've got to get other people into local office so that they
Oh no! There it is.
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me?
We got you
I
now.
was
Yep.
trying to do. Okay, very good. So that's going to be the focus. Conversations with different folks, candidates, donors, etc., to do a debrief of this last election. What worked, what didn't. We have to have a consultant mindset, because otherwise we'll do the same thing over and over again without getting different results. So I'm very, very committed to that.
And we need good people. Robin Carnes, one of the very best. She's just starting out. It was a rough state Senate run, but the future, I mean, think about what happened to our country if Abraham Lincoln was like, oh yeah, after that Senate race, I'm not going to run.
Right.
We need good people. It's just a hiccup. Go ahead real quick, Robin.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, everybody's got to go through a loss at some point. You've got to lose one.
Even
right?
Bill
And sometimes you have
Armstrong. Even Bill Armstrong lost at one point. All right, Robin, really appreciate the call. Bill and I are going to dive into Pete Hegseth next. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
KNUS.
is 9 a.m. in the Mile High City. I love this song, man.
Oh,
Beastie Boys.
Yes. This is old school.
Morning, Denver, Colorado.
Although there's a lot of disappointments here. This is a wonderful song. However, there's recently been a cover song. It is sad. It is disappointing, as if the band has never heard the song before. And you'll be shocked when I tell you the band
Somebody made a cover song of that song?
Yeah, they covered it, yeah.
And it's like sad?
It's awful.
No, dude, that's the like
I know,
anthem.
But it's sad because they're flat. It's as if when they perform it, it's as if they've never heard it before. And that band is Motley Crue.
Dude, that is disappointing.
Yeah, Motley Crue's got a brand new EP
like
that's dropping.
Yes. You would think they would know.
And you would think, given they're a rock and rolling kind of beat, rules nothing. That was kind of their thing back in the day. And they're like, it is the
Everybody
worst.
gets old.
It is the worst cover song ever. It's like Vince Neil going, "The wake up late for school, and you don't want to go." Woo! So bad.
You know who seems like the most miserable person in the world? Just like their life just never planned out the way it
who could that be?
was Tommy Lee.
Oh God, no, he's happy. No, he's not miserable at all.
Really? He
God,
seems like nothing has ever been like made him happy. He was married to Heather Locklear.
Oh no.
He was married to Pam Anderson.
I mean, here's the thing.
Like it just like he married beautiful women and it
sure.
never made him happy.
Oh, he's very happy. The thing is that Tom is a complicated person. He's had a lot of fun. He's had a lot of parties. And he's done his share of drugs, and he's done
but
he's
he
done
just
Blake's
doesn't seem
share of
content
drugs,
to me.
and he's done your share of drugs and mine. Oh, he's very happy in what he does. Yeah, especially his what is it, Methods of Mayhem? Yeah, the other band that he's in. Oh yeah, Tom is very happy. Vince Neil, they're not so happy. He's a little grouchy. He's a little upset. The other one, Sebastian Bach, a little grouchy there too. Little not so happy about things. Yeah, but he's not too happy with how things turned out as well. Yeah, so there are a couple of others that we could go into that you're just like always kind of grouchy and kind of sideways, that you're like, how come you can't be happier given what has been presented to you? Another one, Billy Corrigan. Corrigan's a grouchy old man at this point.
He became a Christian though, didn't he?
I don't know, maybe.
I thought he did.
You know, they got then Smashing Pumpkins has a new album out, and he's a grouchy man. He was complaining a couple of weeks ago. He was complaining that he wasn't high enough on the ranking of the best guitarists. He was mad at that. I'm kind of like, really? I understand how you could personally be hurt, but we have to go out and tell people about it. Really? Is that what's most important to you, Billy, today? It's okay. I think it explains why Darsky Retzky left the band and didn't come back, and why James Iha took a long time to get back to him too. But also good news, Tim Cumberford has been clean for 3 years. He's the bassist in Rage Against the Machine from prostate cancer. That was an anniversary this weekend that happened. That was really kind of cool for him. Really cool for him. Really good conversation that he had. Sorry, there was some fun stuff that happened.
Off we go into music land.
Yes, there's some really interesting conversations that happen. Why? Yeah, okay, we can't do it anymore.
Coming up after news and comment with Blake Olson, Billy and I are going to discuss Pete Hegseth. I think I did. I think you did too. Read the police reports, 22 pages. A lot of it's redacted, so you end up having to like skip because any name in there other than Jane Doe and Pete Hegseth is skipped. So this is an interesting Rorschach test. Because I sent it to people in my world, in the MAGA world, read the police report, and they're like, "Oh yeah, no, he took advantage of her." And I'm like, "Really? That's what you got out of this?" Because I read it, and I was like, "She took advantage of him." Like you had multiple people that saw her, and she wasn't drunk. She had a glass of champagne. I think, from my read of that, this was more about regret than it was Pete Hegseth took advantage of me. She's leading him around, but then other people are like, no, he's a star. He took advantage of her, all that stuff. So that's why I think this thing could possibly go all the way to the confirmation process, and you may see her emerge.
You sure might.
And I'll tell you why, because the book deals are going to be hella good if she does.
Yes, and made for TV movies. And here's the thing is that we know that this was, Pete and maybe Jane Doe letting their hormones run wild. They leaned into feeling like those young kids again when you're rolling through puberty, and things were going kind of wild and hot and heavy, and they started touching all sorts of naughty parts. But I've got a couple of people you need to talk to that are experts in their field that'll make you feel young again without all the weird sexual assault allegations. I want you to talk to my friends at Balance Well Space. Check them out at Balance Well Space. You like
set
that?
up for the record
Thank you
books.
so much. I was wondering how the hell I was going to get into this. BalanceWellSpace.com. My friends have been talking about it for months now. They have helped me eliminate the daily pain in my life, and they can do the same for you. And the reason we're talking about your hormones is because they have a very special get-together, an open house planned for Tuesday, December 3rd, 5 p.m. Now, space is limited, so make sure you contact them at balancewellspace.com to reserve your slot. You'll get complimentary wine, cheese, crackers. You'll get to meet the entire team. Plus, you'll get to talk to a representative about bioidentical hormone replacement therapy. The idea is, as we get older, our hormones begin to fade. That's why we're all shocked that, Pete was all bomb chicka burner. Yeah, because, things wear down later on. Your libido, your endurance, how tired you feel. You know how you get that feeling middle of the afternoon? How you want to take a nap? That's all you want? It's because your hormones are off. Same thing when you wake up the next morning, you've had 8 hours of sleep and you're like, I feel like I could go another 8 right now. It's because those are off. And Balance Well Space can offer you a really cool, non-invasive way in order to balance those hormones out, and they're identical to the ones that are in your body right now. It's an open house, but also while you're there, you can talk to them about the other procedures they have and other stuff they can do to you. It is integrative medicine, physical rehabilitation, wave therapy, regenerative care, neuropathic care, chiropractic care, all under one roof. BalanceWellSpaces.com is how you reserve your spot for that very special open house on Tuesday, December 3rd. Talk to them about all the different things they can do for you. As you and I are talking, I'm regenerating the meniscus in my left knee. I was lifting really heavy boxes of records over the weekend, moving them around my mom's house. They're so heavy. But my back held up the entire time. There was one time when it was a real big box. I'm squatting down and I'm getting ready and I'm thinking, wait, I know my back is going to be able to handle this because of my team at Balance Well Space. I had no problems knowing that, it was going to be hard to lift, but I wasn't worried about the pain at the other end. That wasn't what I was like a couple of years ago. It wasn't what I was like as recently as last year. So talk to them. Reserve your space for December 3rd, Tuesday, 5 o'clock, balancewellspace.com, balancewellspace.com. And when you talk to them, tell them you heard about them here on Jeff and Bill, because it really helps out. And now, also want to kick it over to Blake Olson, news and commentary. He's going to get us all educated and up to speed on what's going on in the world.
All right, but man, that may have been the greatest segue I've ever heard.
Thank you.
How did you do that?
I have no idea.
So smoothly. I got to go
much.
back and listen to that. That was award-winning, man. I appreciate it, Billy. And Jeff, 32 and partly cloudy in Denver, expecting a high of 48 today. The 7-10 5-day forecast coming up. Our top story. Of course it is. A record number of Americans planning to travel over the Thanksgiving holiday. AAA expects nearly 80 million people will drive and fly between Tuesday, November 26th and Monday, December 2nd. That's about 1.7 million more than last year. The FAA says things could slow down during peak travel times because of staffing issues. The area that could be most impacted is the Northeast, especially in New York, because of a shortage of air traffic controllers. Former state rep Amy Stevens joined the fellas last hour discussing Jussie Smollett #2 in the Springs this time. 3 progressives staged a racial hate crime against the mayor, Yemi Mobolade. Problem is, the FBI says the mayor was all part of the staged event.
Hey, come to Colorado Springs, where our mayor is in cahoots with a career criminal sentenced to 32 months for attempting to kill 2 police officers. Now he's just been arrested again because they think he killed a rapper who disrespected him.
Jeez.
Okay, that's not good press, but I think it even goes deeper. Yemi's campaign was absolutely run by progressives, but also I would say by DEI evangelicals. If you read Megan Basham's book, I think evangelical capital Colorado Springs is in a period of some self-reflection. And I think people are just sitting back going, oh my goodness, like if this is really true. And then you have a Biden DOJ with a Biden U.S. attorney that said, we can't do this. We can't actually hold up the law here.
Wow, the DOJ acting like it didn't happen. The media ridiculous. They bought this garbage just like Robin Roberts, ABC, with Jussie Smollett 5 years ago.
What were your injuries? What were
they did x-rays. I didn't have, it was reported that I had like fractured ribs or cracked ribs or something like that. That wasn't true. I was just in a lot of pain. You know, my clavicle was messed up. My rib was bruised, but nothing was cracked. Like, I walked into the hospital. I walked out of the hospital.
Why do you think you were targeted?
I can just assume, I mean, I come really, really hard against 45.
Did you see the scene in Matt Walsh's Am I Racist where they recreate that whole thing?
Yes. Excellent. That whole thing.
And how
I
it
finally saw it.
It doesn't make any sense, right? When you actually piece it together.
Oh, man.
They had ropes. They didn't have ropes. It was icy, all that stuff. When you actually pieced it together, you just see it was a total fabrication.
Yeah, you would think, since he's in entertainment, he would know how to try to put together some story that kind of seemed realistic. Yeah, that was horrible, man. Really bad. Well, State Senator Barb Kirkmeyer on with Jeff and Billy also this morning discussing Secretary of State Jenna Griswold and the Joint Budget Committee meeting on Friday, where members wanted to know more about those passwords that were leaked. Where is the accountability? Kirkmeyer questions her sincerity.
Immediately tell all the clerks, the public, and the press, and then apologize. And then she could go figure out what went wrong and announce the results of the investigation that she's now doing. But now she has a bigger problem. She apologized, but it was like more than a week later, and it really didn't seem sincere or authentic. To me, her response to this whole problem just constitutes a lack of confidence in her leadership and her ability to tell the truth.
And Senator Rand Paul says that Denver Mayor Mike Johnston should not prevent deportations in the city.
The mayor of Denver, if he's going to resist federal law, which there's a long-standing history of the supremacy of federal law, if he's going to resist that, it will go all the way to the Supreme Court. And I would suspect that he would be removed from office. I don't know whether or not there'd be a criminal prosecution for someone resisting federal law, but he will lose. And people need to realize that what he is offering is a form of insurrection where the states resist the federal government. Most people objected to that and rejected that long ago. So I think the mayor of Denver is on the wrong side of history, and really, I think will face legal ramifications if he doesn't obey the federal law.
But I'm really hoping the mayor shows up to Peter Boyles' Thanksgiving radio parade Wednesday morning from 6 to 10 right here, only on KNUS.
The Venezuelan marching band, they're going to be appearing this year.
Oh, excellent. That's great.
But I am worried about the mayor trying to stop the parade this year. He's never done that, but he's going to put the cops out there so the Venezuelans can march.
Oh, I love it. I wish the gaggle of parade clowns packed in that vehicle driving the Kamala Khan cackle carriage will show up, but I don't think so. I think they're in New York at Macy's. Speaking of clowns, Jennifer Rubin, the racist from the Washington Post, continues to blab about conservatives.
There is a certain level of dysfunction and catastrophe that will sink these people. What happens if there is a terrorist attack, God forbid? What happens when there is a pandemic? The problems with being extreme, irresponsible, ignorant is when bad stuff happens, there's no one to blame but you. So the good news is that these people may not get everything they want. The bad news is a lot of bad stuff may happen to a lot of innocent people because of them.
God, she is the worst.
I know. I was just sitting there trying to imagine what I'd do if I had to sit down across the table from her at Thanksgiving.
Ooh. Oh,
do you imagine the pain that
I would
be?
tip the table over with all the hot gravy on that side. I want her and Liz Cheney to have a show together so I could blow them up every day.
Oh, it would be so good. No one's going to pay for it, but sure would be interesting. I tweeted out, do you know how Sunny Hostin's having to read these legal disclaimers
she read another
over
one.
and
I
over?
didn't
She had to do
realize that.
4 last week.
4?
Yes.
I thought it was 2.
I think I saw 4, but maybe it's 2. But
no, you're
I don't want to watch The View, but I would watch an hour of Sunny Hostin having to read legal disclaimers. That would actually be
That's a good idea.
She's so miserable doing it.
Yes,
it looks like those hostage videos, and oh my gosh, that would be fun.
Oh man, no, that would be good. They need to make a special segment. They probably will. They'll have a graphic and everything.
You know how they have cameos. By the way, Bill, I thought long and hard over the weekend about doing this because Matt Gaetz is on.
You're gonna get
Cameo.
the tattoo?
No, Matt Gaetz is on Cameo.
Oh yes,
and I was going to have him wish you Merry Christmas. But it's $525.
Yeah, that's way too expensive.
Is it really?
It's way too expensive. I was like,
no kidding.
you know, maybe half
Salem will pay for it.
that I might, just because it would be so good to have
Yeah,
Matt
that would be funny.
Gaetz wish
That would be
Billy
good.
Thorpe a Merry Christmas. So what Sunny Hostin could do is just read legal disclaimers.
You know, if we had any sort of a
Cameo.
larger show budget, we would have get him to read stuff for the show.
Yes.
Yeah,
yeah,
that'd be great.
we'd need a budget
you could
first.
pull some strings, Jeff. I mean, come on.
Yeah,
I think
maybe.
you can make that.
I don't
happen.
have a direct line to him, but we've
Oh,
but
man.
I just think it would be
You gotta
so
try.
good to play over and over and over again. Matt Gaetz
That'd be
wishing
great.
Billy Thorpe
just
a Merry Christmas.
Matt Gaetz saying anything at this point would be fantastic. I mean, it doesn't matter what it is, just because. Yeah, it's like it would get he and George Santos back and forth. You'd be okay.
I've done those cameos before, and they're great. I did the
That's awesome.
I got from my dad the little guy from Seinfeld. I'm trying to remember his
Jason
name.
Alexander.
No. Yeah, not
He is,
Jason.
he's short. He's a short guy.
The other guy that with Kramer, they would always have fun together on the show and stuff like
Newman?
that.
No.
No.
The other guy.
Newman.
He's
little
actually
bigger.
a guy that's short.
A short guy?
Yeah,
Huh,
what's his
I
name?
gotta
Like a
think
little
about
person?
that.
Like
Yes, like a little
midget?
person,
Oh.
like a little.
Oh,
I don't know. I'm not sure that.
I don't know the name. Yeah.
But that was
But
fun.
the
and
little
we
person
still
on
watch
there.
it today, and
Awesome.
it was great. And he made fun of my dad and roasted him, and
Oh, that's
that was
fantastic.
awesome.
cool.
So
That's
I like
cool.
those sometimes.
Hey, no one's making fun of the Broncos these days.
Bailey caught one for 11. 36-yard catch and run by Mims. First and goal. Knicks to the air. Caught. Sutton. Touchdown. He's done it again. Number 2 today. And the Broncos extend their lead.
Broncos beat the Raiders 29-19. Cortland Sutton, 8 passes, 97 yards, 2 touchdowns. Bo Nix, 273 yards passing and 2 touchdowns. 31 in Lone Tree, 30 in Lakewood, 32 in Denver. Jeff and Billy continue on Monday morning. Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Thanksgiving week starts off with fair, dry weather today, but we're going to see some weather move in late tomorrow and Wednesday. Sunny, temperatures in the 40s, lows tonight, upper 20s. Increasingly cloudy Tuesday, highs upper 40s with a chance of a snow or rain shower developing during the day. Snow showers Tuesday night, lower 30s. Snow showers likely and colder Wednesday, highs 30s. Weather sponsored by Colorado's Best Roofing, reminding you to protect your home from the harsh Colorado weather and schedule your free, no-obligation roof inspection today at roofingcolorado.com. That's roofingcolorado.com. Meteorologist Don Day of the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. We got some good text messages coming in. Mickey was his name from Seinfeld. Thank you, Jeff.
Oh,
and
there
Bill
it is.
Show.
Yeah,
Mickey.
thank you.
That was great. And
That
then
is good.
Jason
Thank
with
you.
the inappropriate text of the day. I
Hey.
wonder if Matt Gaetz is giving discounts to the young ladies on his cameo appearances.
Oh, geez.
Cross the line, Jason.
I'm not going to say that out loud. there's something, Jason, you sparked in my head. I cannot say that out loud. Oh,
Speaking
boy.
of crossing
Yes.
the line.
Yes.
All right, let's talk Pete Hegseth. So,
yeah,
read the police report. It's available. It was made public, I guess, because he requested it, and that just automatically makes it public. So it's 22 pages long. Bottom line, it's a California Federation of Republican Women event, which when I first read that, I was like, because most ladies, and they even admit to it in the police report, most of the ladies attending the Federation of Republican Women's events are of a certain age.
Yes.
And it's the other end of the spectrum from Matt Gaetz. So you're like, really? That's where these things happened? Was the Federation of Republican Women? Anyways,
I know.
They're hosting an event. It's in Monterey. It's in October of 2017. And Pete Hegseth is the keynote speaker. So following his speech, he goes to an after party. He's up in the presidential suite with the hosts of the event. He's starting to drink. He says beer. Never drank hard alcohol. And by the way, I want to couch all of this, and these are different sides of the story. So, and no criminal charges were brought. But he goes to this presidential suite. He's having drinks up there. He gets to take some pictures with people, including getting a picture taken with the complainant or the victim, depending on how you look at this thing. So later they go down to the bar. It's a bar called Knuckles. And they're there until the bar closes. Now, this is where things start to diverge. Okay. There are two ladies and Pete in this story. Okay. The first lady, she's friendly with Pete. Pete supposedly puts his hand on her knee. Now, Pete is divorced at this point. He is not in a marriage, but he is divorced from his second wife. Yeah. He is now married to his third wife, who was a producer who he had a baby with while married to his second wife.
Who was also a former producer that he did some stuff with, in my understanding, but that he jailed with the first wife for.
Oh, yeah.
So both number 2 and number 3
not good decisions.
Are both former workers on programs that he was. Yeah, that's weird.
Feels like that might be risky in the workplace.
Feels like this is what we call a pattern. And I'm certain his wife, when she sends him off to work. Oh, no, but when his wife sends him off to work every day, I'm sure she's like, then don't touch the people at work.
Yeah.
Yes, because that's where I found you. Yes.
Very fair. Again, I will shout it from the tops of the rooftop of the mountains of Colorado. Follow the Billy Graham rule. It just saves you a big headache, which means don't put yourselves in compromising situations.
My dad had a really nice phrase that he taught me when I was a kid, and it made sense. Didn't make sense when you're younger, but it makes sense when you're older. Once you get over your 20s, and his phrase that he always looked at me and says, "Listen, son, don't get your meat where you make your bread." Like, smart.
Yeah,
that's smart.
It is smart.
Very smart. Yes.
And just the headaches that all come from, I would imagine Pete would very much like to go back and tell Pete in 2017 not to do this.
Oh, yes.
Because even though, so the debate comes down to whether or not this was consensual or not. So what happens in the bar, okay, is that supposedly Pete puts his hand on the knee of woman number 1. Woman number 1 goes, not interested. And Pete respects it.
Yes.
So that's an important part of this. So they continue to talk and they continue to drink. And supposedly Pete has quite a bit to drink, to the point where a few people say he's quite intoxicated.
Yeah.
The ladies, on the other hand, not so much. But at this point, lady number 1 waves over lady number 2 in an effort to help distract Pete from her, thinking that she's a married woman. He's not going to want to go after her. They're not going to have that type of relationship. And so
she's looking for a wingman. And the wingman needs to step in.
But a wingman to not. Because dudes have wingmans to help secure the deal.
Well, I have been the buffer to prevent the deal from going over too. I have functioned in that role before to make sure that that friends do not make
stupid decisions.
Stupid mistakes and find their pants in odd places. Yes, I've been there.
So they end up talking, and one of the things that I noticed that was interesting about this police report is that woman number 1, even though Pete puts the hand on the knee, sticks around.
Yeah,
they continue to have the conversation. So she, even in that report, says she didn't feel coerced, she didn't feel intimidated, she didn't feel unsafe. She stuck around. So then you get to the end of the night, the bar is closing. numerous people have said that it seemed like Pete was quite inebriated. The girls, not so much.
Yeah.
Now, a police review of the video shows the three of them walking, and they had what I believe he called a sober gait. That neither three of them seemed to be stumbling around, out of their minds, anything like that. Some of the reports of Pete being inebriated come later from a security guard that responds to a verbal altercation that takes place near the pool. But they seem to leave the bar. Lady number one, who didn't want Pete touching her knee, goes back to her room. Now, lady number two, who is the complainant, and Pete head towards Pete's room. Now, why did they head there? This is a little bit, this is disputed. Okay.
Yeah.
So the complainant, the woman, only known as Jane Doe in this case, says, well, he guided me back there and we were arguing about how he treats women. So in her complaint, she says that the argument at the pool was about, the fact that he doesn't treat women very well, comes on to them, that type of thing. Pete doesn't even remember the argument at the pool, which is not good in his case because it's recorded in the logbook of a security guard.
Yeah.
And they were called by two people in the hotel that said Pete and lady number two, Jane Doe, the complainant, were getting into a verbal altercation at the pool.
Yeah, as in raised voices,
Yes.
loud talking, enough to cause people in the area to take notice and be concerned at the tone of their voices is basically it. Yeah.
So then they go back to the room and there's two different accounts here. So account number one comes from the complainant, and the complainant is he kind of led her back to the room. When they got to the room, he kept her there, refused to allow her to leave. At that point, she doesn't remember much. And she makes the claim that she was somehow drugged. And as a result, doesn't remember the details. She kind of vaguely remembers him over her. I'm not going to get into the details on that.
Yeah.
But it's 4 days later that she actually remembers all this. And it's during an encounter with her spouse that it kind of triggers everything that happened there. But she believes she was drugged, that this was not consensual. She believes that that she was victimized, and that she essentially left after the fact, but was drugged as a result of it.
Yeah. Which, and again, the drugging thing for me is fairly questionable because we've all gotten to that point where enough alcohol tips memory and changes memory. In fact, there's a stand-up comedian who my friends and I, during our party days, used to steal this from them. And we used to say that, listen, when you get to a certain point with your alcohol consumption, you become a time traveler. You're like, hey, I'm drunk in this bar. And then poof, oh, look, I'm drunk out on the street. And then poof, oh, look, I'm drunk in another bar. Poof, oh, look, I'm drunk in a car. You just keep jumping time because you come in and out of coherency.
Yeah, right.
And so there's that idea. And from my impression on this, there's some questions involved. So I really do question the idea of drugging because personally, I'm not certain that Pete planned that far ahead. I don't think he's Cosby. Right. I don't think he's Cosbying this thing. And I do mean this intentionally. I don't think he's Bill Cosbying this entire thing.
Yeah, right.
I don't believe that part of it. But could she have imbibed enough alcohol to where she gets over that threshold where memory becomes fuzzy and a bunch of other things happen? Absolutely. Because we do not know how much she consumed inside of the bar per se. We know it was described, but we don't know drink for drink. We don't know how much she had before she came over to sit with them. And we don't have a really good accounting of how much she had with them.
But they did talk to the bartender.
Yes.
And the bartender, I think, said that maybe she had champagne earlier and maybe vodka at the bar.
Yeah.
But not a lot. Not to the point where she was stumbling, incoherent, drunk. And in fact, never once does anybody, whether it's the security guard by the pool or her husband, even when she comes back to the room at 4 a.m., ever says she was incoherently drunk.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
or look like she's coming off of something like being drugged.
Yes.
Yes, doesn't have the slurring of the speech, the disorientation, that kind of stuff. Yeah.
So, but what was wild during a lot of this is she's texting her husband. She's texting him about Pete Hegseth's going, I don't really like him. This is kind of weird. He said, I don't know why the women all like him. And actually I have screenshots of all the text messages between the two of them. And then randomly, At about 12:31, about the time the bar closes, she stops texting him.
Yeah.
And in fact, the last statement is a half statement. She doesn't complete it. So the text messages stop, I think around 12:31, 1:30, right around the time that the bar closes. That's when they're walking back to his room. At about 2 a.m., he gets pretty worried. He's like, where the heck's my wife? So he wanders down to the bar. Bar's closed. So she's like, he's like, honey, what's going on? Where are you? You've never stayed out this, like, when was the last time you stayed out till 2 a.m.? All that stuff. She doesn't show up again till 4 a.m. And now we'll get into Pete Hegseth's story. I want to get into his in just a second. But first, I want to talk to you about Colorado's favorite appliance store. They're celebrating huge savings during Black Friday sale going on now. Shop like a boss this Black Friday and save up to $3,100 on select Bosch appliance packages. Enjoy a special financing and price match guarantee with exclusive offers you won't find at big box stores. Visit us today and experience the difference. When you think appliances, think Mountain High Appliances. Especially, you got family members coming in all this holiday season. You can really wow them with brand new appliances. $3,100 off. That's amazing. Mountain High Appliance. All right.
Yeah. Now, listen to this. Bosch is the stuff. That is the
seriously.
stuff. That is the best of the best. And if you've been looking around and there's something in your kitchen, there's something around the house that you're like, we really need to replace this, but you've been kind of, dreaming about that Bosch, this is now affordable. The deals and rebates that Mountain High Appliance has for you makes the best of the best affordable. These are long-standing. My parents had a Bosch washing machine. Thing was amazing. So again, they're going to make it affordable. Also, they have test kitchens. We can try it out to make sure that it fits your lifestyle and what you need. So you really get to kick the tires, like when you're test driving a car. So check them out. They are going to make the best of the best as far as appliances affordable for you and your family. This is a deal you shouldn't pass up. So check it out when Jeff is telling you. Check out Mountain High Appliance.
Mountain High Appliance. We're going to continue with Pete's side. You're not going to want to miss it. But I would love to hear from you. What do you think of all this?
And who do you believe? Who do you believe in this?
The complainant or
Jane Doe or Pete Hegseth? What do you think?
Hegseth. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
We are Denver's talk leader, News Talk 710 KNUS.
At this hour, I'm Christina Owayo in Dallas, and here are your top stories. Governor Ron DeSantis has announced that another 300 bonuses worth $5,000.
Lots of text messages coming in on this. Pete Hegg says 7579. I think this is another example of a man getting famous, potentially in a position of power, and women suddenly decide she needs to expose what happened some years ago. Who is she and why now? On the other hand, he sounds very susceptible to both alcohol and women, which is not good quality of a federal employee in a high level. It's bad for our national security. 7579. Good points on both those.
That is good points. They did have some stuff that had come out. And again, I haven't looked at the verification or not, but there have been some stories coming from Fox News co-workers behind the scene that says that Pete does like to get his drink on. Again, not saying he's an alcoholic, not saying he drinks
best traits of Donald Trump that he just doesn't do that.
Yeah. But there are stories that do back up the idea that Pete does like to imbibe and does seem to push where his limit is somewhat, but not saying functional alcoholic, not saying things like that. But yeah, there were some stories that back that up.
Speaking of pushing the limit, let's push the limit with your hair restoration from Advanced Hair Restoration. Look, for many of us, it's happening. Your hair's thinning, your crown's disappearing. Maybe hair loss has you feeling your identity's just lost altogether. Well, I've got good news for you. It's an incredible yet simple one-day treatment that starts growing your own natural hair the very next day, and it's guaranteed to grow for life. It's the Advanced FUE from Advanced Hair. Look, we've all seen the pills and lotions that come with monthly subscriptions. They help retain what you have, but what if what you want is your own natural hair permanently in specific areas? From Advanced Hair's state-of-the-art facilities to world-class Dr. Tanya Pauls, it's not maybe your hair will regrow. It's guaranteed that your new hair will grow. You decide how much, how thick, and where. It's why Advanced Hair is the winner of Westward's Best of Denver. For your free consultation, $250 off and 250 free hair grafts. Call 720-459-HAIR. That's 720-459-HAIR or advancedhair.com. That's advancedhair.com. All right, so Pete's side of the story. Pete Hegg says his line comes in at the very end of the report. It's 22 pages, pretty easy to read. At least short to read. It's hard to read with how much is redacted. Okay. His argument is he goes to the bar, he's having fun with these ladies, and one in particular seems to like him and guides him back to his room. Now, a lot of the video footage and even the complaint or the response from the security guard would confirm this, that she was the one kind of guiding him. In fact, the security guard says she puts his hand on his back and guides him back to the building where his room is. So she's clearly in control.
Yeah.
There's not one witness that said she seemed drunk, drugged, out of her mind, incoherent, nothing like that. She seems, according to all the other witnesses, rather in control of the situation, whereas Pete seemed to be the one that was inebriated. So his side of the story is they go back to her room, or to his room, goes back to his room, and she doesn't want to leave. She's not interested in leave. In fact, he said that it was kind of awkward how long she stuck around, but at that point, they start talking. They ease into a relationship that evening. They, from his perspective, talk multiple times about her being comfortable with what they're doing, and that soon after the deed was done, she seems to have a little bit of regret. And at that point, she goes back to her room and 4 days later makes the complaint. So his side of the story was that this thing was totally consensual. She was in her right mind. They talked about it, and it was regret, maybe coming to terms with her husband and the fact that she has kids later, 4 days later, that she then goes to the hospital and makes the assault complaint.
Yeah. And you've talked earlier about it being a Rorschach test as far as what you see and what you hear and how different people see it differently. And the thing that provides a hiccup for me on Pete's side is that he doesn't remember the altercation at the pool.
Yeah,
and
right.
We know that
Yeah,
mentally he's checked out there. So when we're talking later in the timeline, I am skeptical of his ability to recall the details of the encounter. Do I say that she is absolutely telling the truth? No. And inside the report, and she said things like she remembers saying no a number of times. But do I trust her account necessarily? Not necessarily. But on balance, I would lean more towards her because in all the things leading up to this, she seems to be the one that is less inebriated. Despite her claims of feeling drugged, etc., she seems to be the one that is in more control of her faculties than Pete is. So when he tells me later on in that report, and it was like telling our listeners that this happened and this conversation happened, I have some skepticism on how he remembers that on the timeline, because we already know that he has pretty much been a standing blackout earlier. So we already know that he's at that level.
Help me understand the 4-day gap, though.
Embarrassment and shame happens quite regularly.
But why would
have an assault?
But if it's an assault, you've got your husband in, down the hall in a different building. Granted, I think.
Oh yeah. But here's the thing,
dude. Why aren't you unleashing him?
Well, here's the thing:
that person,
because of the shame and the embarrassment of what happened. I can't believe this happened to me, and that is a regular response from women that go through this. It is not unusual for them to wait for time. It's not unusual for them not to necessarily share it right away with people. That is not unusual. And it happens quite regularly. And that's one of the things that people who investigate these type of crimes talk about, is that because women in some cases have a tendency to wait, all of the evidence is destroyed.
But so she says later it's an encounter with her husband that triggers her to remember, Pete did this. And by the way, I don't really remember what happened in the room, but there's no evidence I was drugged. Nobody that saw me inebriated to the point that I was incoherent. And then 4 days later remembers it. That's where I go, I think the police saw this and went, well, this is going to be very hard to prove in court.
Yeah, that's the issue, is because there isn't going to be any really good, solid evidence of any assault because of the 4 days later. And that's the problem people investigating this come back to over and over and over again. But again, inside of a traumatic experience, it is not unusual for a human's mind to blank it out or to remove it in order to protect yourself. And the ways in which we see that a lot of time is abuse with children. Is the children remember pieces of it, but they won't remember all of it. They'll blank portions of it out in order to, preserve their psyche. There was a story a number of years ago about a young girl who was abused over and over and over again by an uncle. And she talked about how when it started to happen, she would go to a different place in her mind so she could tune it out so that what was happening to her body wasn't happening to her then. She could ignore
but that's not the claim she makes, in this case.
But I'm saying that's we do as humans have the mental ability. So if
she claims she was drugged.
I know, but then the idea being because she doesn't remember it. So could something have been going on? Again, I don't know one way or the other, but if something was going on, the human mind does have the capacity to blank that piece out. So again, I have a lot of questions about her story, and I got a lot of questions about Pete. And the one thing for me is that Pete seems to be the one that is more inebriated in this entire encounter. And so I have a lot more questions about him being able to accurately put the pieces back together versus her. And that's, if I was sitting on the jury, that's how I would weigh the two of them. That's what I would be looking at. Would I 110% believe her? No. Would I 110% believe Pete? No. But
and is the evidence there to want to put him behind bars for it? I don't think so. And
again,
from my perspective, you had lots of witnesses that saw her. She seemed to be the one in control in this case. And there's a lot of questions in my mind as to how this got out. So if you read the articles, it was a quote friend that notified Trump and the media about this, that then triggered all that. This thing was supposed to be settled. There's an NDA. She got some undisclosed amount of money. And now Brett Kavanaugh 2.0, I do, to your point, Bill, believe that this is a little different than Kavanaugh 2.0, but there's stuff there where I just go, they're going to rake him over the coals in an effort to stop him.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I agree with the police. I just don't think there's enough evidence that he was guilty of assault to go from, he drinks a little bit. Yeah, he was having sex, in this case, in between two divorces, rape to go to level of rape.
Now,
I don't see it.
If I was a Democrat strategist, I would look at this as the appetizer. I would not lean into this, and I would not lean into his tattoos or the other stuff that you've heard, because I think there is a much stronger argument against ever putting Pete Hegseth as the head of the DOD. And I think you can make it logically, and I think you can make it persuasively, and you don't have to touch the sexual assault, and you don't have to touch his tattoos.
I want to hear that next. Look, I want to talk to you about our friend Dan Caplis and Dan Caplis Law. Dan suggests you should choose a lawyer who shares your values because who you choose to represent you in an injury case says a lot about you to everyone involved in the case. He's the son of a police officer, a former seminarian. He's dedicated the last 40 years of his life to helping people who are hurt in serious motor vehicle crashes. But more than being a great guy, he's a real winner in the courtroom. Dan is believed to be the only lawyer in Colorado history to win 5 straight multi-million-dollar verdicts in Colorado crash cases. Dan is also believed to have won the largest truck crash verdict in Colorado history. Dan Caplis Law is so trusted that they're the official law firm partner of the Denver Nuggets and the Colorado Avalanche. Dan Caplis Law is a serious firm for serious cases. Dan accepts righteous injury cases on a percentage fee basis so that he can represent good people from all walks of life without regard to ability to pay. So if you need Dan's help, give him a call, 303-770-5551. 303-770-5551 or hit dancaplisLaw.com. That's Dan, C-A-P-L-I-S law.com. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
Denver's talk leader, News Talk 710 KNUS.
All right, Billy. So what's the real argument to bring down Pete Hegseth? It's not the lady of Monterey.
Here's the argument: lack of ability and experience. It is a department that has more than 2 million employees, a budget of more than $800 million. If you had a corporation, you had a company that had 2 million employees, $800 million budget, and you're asking for CEO resumes, his resume doesn't even fall in the top 20.
Oh,
his
I disagree, Billy. He's going to take out the wokeness in the Department of Defense.
Would you hire him? Would you hire him to run your $800 million
That's why Pete
company
needs to be there. All right, that's just perfect how to finish the show. All right.
Yes, it is.
You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
Denver's talk leader, News Talk 710 KNUS.